Before the battle even commenced, Maximus abruptly questioned Atrus about his true identity. This unexpected revelation left Khan in a state of shock, as no one could anticipate such a direct and incisive inquiry at that moment. The tension and intrigue surrounding the impending conflict were further heightened by this sudden turn of events. "What do you mean?" asked Khan in return. "I've known you since before you even became a member of the Heroes Party," Maximus declared with a stern demeanor. "The circumstances of your victory in the Elysium tribal tourney and your subsequent inclusion in this group are well documented. Your remarkable feat of defeating everyone on the very first day of your commemoration has not gone unnoticed," stated Maximus in a stern voice. "However, ever since we entered Babylon, you have done things that shouldn't be possible. Whether it was finding and killing the Guardian of the Second Region by yourself or leaving that Chimera and Melisandre's illusion techniques, you have achieved those things at the same pace as me, a chosen hero. And just a few minutes ago, you skillfully neutralized the last Guardian's divine ability as if you knew its weakness from the very start." He revealed his reasons for doubt. "Those are things that even I can't achieve without going all out with my other two divine abilities and my divine weapon. And now, you already have a plan to execute despite seeing this divine ability by Marcus for the first time. You even used that suspicious invisible attack that cut off their heads in an instant as if you were not a brawler but a swordsman or an assassin. It's almost as if you already know a lot of divine abilities and heroes despite not being one," he declared in a suspicious voice. "Do you expect me to believe that you're just a normal member of the Heroes Party and not someone with ulterior motives? I'd rather charge into the battle blindly than fight beside someone who might backstab me when I least expect it," declared Maximus without hesitation in Khan's mind. "So tell me, who are you exactly?" he asked one more time while clenching his fist. Even Khan could feel that if he didn't answer Maximus right now, things would become complicated to the point that he might end up fighting the hero instead of Marcus Brutus. My, looks like you have caught on to my truth," responded Khan with an incredulous countenance. "Who are you and why are you here?" questioned the hero of nature again. "Consider me as someone who was supposed to keep you in check in case you, a human, decided to work against our Nader Empire," revealed Atrus in an almost threatening tone. "What nonsense is that?" asked Maximus with a bewildered tone. "It is exactly as you heard. I am a hidden card of the Empire who was secretly trained by the Empress and my master, taught the weaknesses and overall knowledge of divine abilities as well as divine weapons. Also that if one day you decide to betray us and your role as a summoned hero of nature, I will be the one to take you on and capture you," stated Atrus in a tyrannical voice. "What the hell is that supposed to mean? I would never betray my responsibility and the people I'm supposed to protect," replied Maximus. "Don't fret over it. I'm not necessarily your enemy. I am just a failsafe of the Empire since we can't trust you humans who once enslaved us. Looks like you don't know what happened to the heroine of nature who was summoned 300 years ago," he iterated mysteriously as if revealing an unknown truth of the past to Maximus. "What are you even talking about?" questioned Maximus in bewilderment. "That bitch was a human too, and just like you, she too was shunned and discriminated by the people of our empire in the beginning. During the conclave of heroes that happened 300 years ago, she almost betrayed the empire and tried to join hands with an empire run by humans. If not for already taken precautionary methods, that human bitch would have joined an enemy side after she sacrificed all of the party members to these guardians. That's why I joined the Heroes Party in the most unsuspecting way. I met you that day when we fought the mythical Cheruf and then won the tribal tourney just to put up a show in front of the whole empire. Everything was planned by our great empress and no one, not even these buffoons besides you, know anything about it," explained Atrus in a serious tone, revealing his grim truth. Is that why you know all these things about divine abilities? Is that all you are, a spy of the Empire?" asked Maximus in disbelief. "What? You expect me to be some righteous man like you? Not everyone fights for the sake of people, Maximus. Some people like me live to serve the ruling powers of the Empire. And if it meant keeping an eye even on the representative sent by our God of nature, so be it," declared Atrus again in his icy tone. Now, everything made sense to Maximus. Not a single encounter he had with the Blue Wolfkin was due to coincidence. The Empire planned everything, trying to make Maximus trust Atrus as his close ally that he would divulge secret information to once their friendship became stronger. If I hadn't been suspicious of his actions since the beginning, I would have almost thought of him as my true comrade in arms. That damn Empress. She still has her threads binding me no matter where I go. He, though, with an incongruous countenance. Now tell me what it will be, Maximus? I have already told you that I will act only if you show any signs of betraying the Empire. But if you do what you were supposed to do, then I'm your strongest and most capable ally. So make a decision now. Spoke Atrus as he gave the hero a final intimation. After a few more seconds of thought, which was a couple of minutes for a saint, Maximus finally came to terms with their current situation and affirmed his compliance. Fine. But after we are done with this whole conclave of heroes, we are definitely not allies. Spoke Maximus as he prepared himself for the battle. As for this entire narration, it was a big fat white lie. Whether Khan had been operating as an undercover spy or his covert training in divine abilities, he had deftly woven a narrative on the spot that leveraged his wits and cunning. Crafting an effective deception required a keen understanding of psychology, and Khan was well aware that the most believable lies were those mixed with half-truths. Khan had chosen to acknowledge that he had a secret identity only after Maximus had already become suspicious. This strategic move was calculated to maintain a semblance of trust. Because if he tried to act innocent, then the hero would pry more into the truth than Khan could let on. He intentionally started this lie with the time when he first encountered Maximus during the battle against Cheruf, redirecting the hero of nature's focus toward past events and the surprise they had elicited. Khan also mentioned his victory in the tournament as part of the larger plan, adding credibility to his narrative. As for the matters concerning the previous heroine who had entered the god's altar 300 years ago, it was Marcus Brutus who had casually revealed that she had used her allies as shields to escape. This detail was a crucial component of Khan's deception, serving to corroborate his own fabricated story and make it more convincing to Maximus, giving a logical explanation as to why he was sent here as a member of the hero's party. The diversion created by Khan in the story was a masterful stroke that served to bolster his narrative of being an undercover spy tasked with monitoring Maximus due to the alleged treason committed by the previous heroine of nature. Also, Khan could not reveal that his knowledge of the divine abilities came from his memories, since he too was a chosen hero, and neither could he speak about Rathnar, the former peak saint of Vantria who had faced and overcame the necromancy divine ability. So his entire narrative was carefully constructed to divert attention away from Khan's true intentions and his source of knowledge. In the end, what Khan had provided Maximus with was an even greater adversary, the Empress Kali Adicitia. By doing so, Khan effectively framed himself as a mere pawn in a much larger and more intricate scheme. This strategic move was calculated to refocus Maximus's attention on the Empress and her potential machinations, thereby diverting suspicion away from Khan and his true objectives. It was a brilliant maneuver that showcased Khan's adeptness at manipulation and subterfuge. In the end, Khan emphasized that Atrus would not be his enemy unless Maximus' actions showed signs of treason. This declaration allowed for a potential resolution that hinged on their actions rather than mere assumptions. As any mature adult would do when faced with a conflict of interests, Maximus considered the possibilities and recognized the need for compromise in this situation, given that they had to fight a powerful enemy in just a few seconds. With the few details he already possessed and a touch of his own imagination, Khan formulated this elaborate narrative on the spot, showcasing the extent of his strategic thinking and his capacity to adapt to complex situations. It was a testament to Khan's quick wit and resourcefulness in navigating the intricate web of alliances and betrayals that surrounded them. The art of lying stated that, "A liar knows that he is a liar, but one who speaks mere portions of truth in order to deceive is a craftsman of destruction. If you tell a big enough lie and tell it frequently enough, it will be believed." Thus, Khan used deception and mixed it with reality to hide his true identity as Hero of Darkness. As soon as the matter was settled temporarily, all the members of the hero's party, now in their saint forms, started positioning themselves with their weapons, armor, spells, and barriers to face Marcus Brutus. The battlefield was no longer going to be small like before, but rather a large one spanning for at least 35 kilometers, given the fact that the necromancer hero was a 6th-stage saint. Ha ha ha! Boy, I must say you have a great talent in lying and coming out with most surprising but believable nonsense on the spot. You surely deserve some sort of acting award for that bullshit you just convinced Maximus of. Spoke Rathnar as he laughed hysterically in Khan's mind. Sorry, but the Academy isn't worthy of judging my acting talent. Responded Khan, and he jumped from the desert ground and now flew in their air. Are you ready, Lord Hero? There's no coming back once we start. And you can't protect others since it's you who has to do all the heavy lifting. Stated Atrus as he asked for final confirmation. Fine, just tell me what to do. Responded Maximus. All right, this is the plan. Soon, after Khan told Maximus his plan and the others telepathically, everyone changed into a new battle formation with Maximus and Atrus at the front. Borat and Conan were now left in charge of protecting the mages aka Rolakin and Speaky. Boom! Divine ability is Zanami's champion, shouted Maximus, and his aura of a 5th-stage saint erupted, sending shockwaves in the 3-kilometer radius. In an instant, the knight hero's body, along with his weapon, shield, and armor, began to grow exponentially as multiple elements of reality coalesced and engulfed him. What transpired was an unbelievable transformation. Within just 15 seconds, the hero of nature had become a ginormous being standing at a towering 1 kilometer tall. His eyes were like lightning, his arms and shoulders transformed into the largest tree trunks in the world, and his legs turned into the hardest of metals. His once golden hair now floated and blazed like the sun. In his hand, the 700-meter-tall and 300-meter-wide shield turned dark gray, carrying both earth and metal elements, while his 500-meter-long greatsword became a destructive combination of both lightning and darkness elements. Sage Art's first form. Thousand Hands Battlefield. In the following moment, over 1,000 hands made up of all the elements of nature started emerging from the newly realized battlefield within the 30-kilometer radius, each being 500 meters tall and covering the battlefield from all directions and places as if Maximus had no intentions to let Brutus even catch a breath. Ha ha ha! Are you stupid? Didn't I tell you that in this realm, I control everything? Mocked the necromancer hero openly. Good. Divert his attention. He can't even use the world energy right now other than his divine ability. Whatever he does now to change the laws of this world he created, it will never be as effective and dangerous to us at his peak strength. Informed Khan. You're forgetting something. Even if it's a divine ability, you're not fighting a single domain. Replied the Titan hero. Rumble. Domain expansion. Nature's fury, shouted Borat, the green-maned lionkin. As the emerald aura permeated the ground beneath them, an astonishing transformation occurred within the ancient ruins. Terraforming magic surged through the scorching ground, causing the emergence of a mesmerizing sight. From the shattered remnants of the black boulders, thousands of colossal vines, trees, and vibrant multicolored flowers sprouted forth. These towering flora, shrouded in a deep green hue, reached heights of hundreds of meters and spanned dozens of meters in width. This wondrous and unnatural phenomenon was Borat's domain. His mastery over nature and the ability to manipulate plant life manifested in this breathtaking display of power. The vines intertwined and coiled, creating a sprawling canopy that stretched above, while the colossal trees stood as sentinels of Borat's domain, their branches reaching toward the sky. The air became saturated with the scent of earth and vegetation, as the vibrant flowers bloomed, adorning the surroundings with a kaleidoscope of colors. The once desolate and scaldingly hot battlefield was transformed into a vibrant, living sanctuary, a testament to Borat's command over the natural forces. From the domain of wood, hundreds of towering trees and vines shot forth, resembling spears thrusting towards their target. The already established domain expanded its reach, seeking to ensnare and pierce Marcus with its vegetative assault. Alongside the trees, the colossal flowers radiated a blinding light, their petals creating a dazzling spectacle meant to disorient and confuse their opponent. Scum! One after another, Rolakin and Speaky cast multiple barriers and magic formations that buffed the first three combatants who could use domains and enhanced their attack prowess while creating multiple barriers and shields to safeguard themselves. Kid, are you going to your domain too? That could create some trouble for you. Spoke Rathnar. No. If I use that, even Maximus will become hostile since dimensional domain is only possible with a divine ability or accessible to someone who spent centuries practicing space law. However, I do have an alternative. Replied Khan. Boom! The very next moment, his body surged forth with a domineering and insurmountable blue aura, as a massive tsunami of permafrost emerged with Atrus as the epicenter. Rumble. Massive pillars of water arose while the surrounding domains created by Maximus and Borat started synergizing with this wave of permafrost, intermingling perfectly with these tides and stormy bodies of water that Atrus created. Sizzle. This combination of liquid-like permafrost that moved like sea tides clashed against the molten lava and the scorching heat, nullifying the intensity of Marcus' own domain he created using the Visionary's reality. And at the same time, it did not affect or impede Maximus' Titan form in any way. One could say that the Necromancer hero was surrounded from all sides and had lost advantage of his own domain that should have acted in his favor, solely because of the perfect coalition between the domains of three saints. Surrender now and we might grant you a peaceful death. Spoke Maximus, his voice echoing in the 10-kilometer radius due to his Titan form. Ha! That's funny. It was supposed to be my line. Alas, the time to show mercy has been gone long past. Now it's time for me to show why I feel no sense of threat from the likes of you. The battlefield crackled with intense energy as the clash between the hero's party and Marcus Brutus unfolded. Marcus, a master of manipulating the Visionary's reality, utilized the transformed terrain to his advantage. Magma rivers flowed, and stone structures rose like ominous sentinels, creating a landscape that seemed to obey his very will. Seizing control of gravity, Marcus employed the altered gravitational forces strategically. As attacks were launched by the hero's party, he deftly manipulated gravity to redirect their trajectories, turning the onslaught against their own teammates. Sometimes he turned Borat's trees into sand, Atrus' ice pillars and spears into water vapor, and Maximus' sword attacks into mere clouds. Maximus, with his imposing Titanite form, found himself challenged as Marcus exploited the terrain, using gravity as an unseen force to twist and distort the trajectory of every swing and strike. The thousand-hand battlefield that could destroy 30 kilometers of terrain easily with his will alone was losing its battle strength because Brutus was easily changing their elemental property and turning them into exactly different elements that countered the effects of the original ones, rendering them ineffective since it broke Maximus' control of world energy. The hero's party, despite their formidable skills, struggled against Marcus's control over the environment. The battlefield echoed with the clash of attacks and the occasional roar of the altered elements. The hero's party found themselves not just fighting against Marcus, but contending with a reality that was shaped by his very imagination. A reality that sought to dismantle their coordination and exploit their vulnerabilities. Even Maximus was alive at the moment thanks to his second divine ability, Undying Pyres. Like a fruit nurtured and preserved by nature itself, as long as the hero remained connected to the world around him, whether it be the ground or the sea, he could not die. The life force of the surrounding world would continue to heal him even if he was on the brink of death. Though not as instant as Khan's regeneration skill he received from Cthulhu, the hero's power could heal wounds that spanned 100 meters in width and depth on his Titan form. Coupled with the fact that the battlefield was his own domain, his class also allowed for periodic healing. But right then, the two red suns in the sky suddenly sent massive beams of heat that saturated the hero's ginormous figure. Sage Art's second form, Apollo's decree, roared the hero of nature as he gathered all his strength, and the solar beams coalesced into a massive 700-meter-long sword made of blistering heat, evaporating the clouds above and the magma beneath. Slash! He made a forward slash with all his might. This full-power attack held the power to pulverize mountains in 10-kilometer range if they came in the attack range. And now, the Necromancer hero was taking the brunt of it at close range. A dozen seconds later, sizzle! Now, only a forward line of pulverized terrain remained, having no sign of life. Everyone looked around with bated breath, hoping that this was the end of the battle. Swoosh! But suddenly, a figure with no visible injuries appeared from the devastated battlefield. How? Even a beginner 7th stage saint couldn't have survived that, spoke Maximus in disbelief. Reality is often disappointing. That is, it was, spoke Marcus Brutus, the 7th hero of nature. The necromancer hero looked at the entire heroes' party with a sinister and contemptuous smile as he declared, "Now, reality can be whatever I want." In the face of the joint assault from the heroes' party, Marcus Brutus, the necromancer hero, asserted control over every aspect of the surreal realm he had crafted. Countering their volley of powerful and life-threatening attacks, he rendered their efforts futile. The altered reality bowed to his will, deflecting their skills and neutralizing their attempts to break free. As the heroes struggled against the relentless onslaught of Marcus's dominion, he decided it was time to unveil his true strength. Surviving Maximus's formidable one-shot skill, Apollo's decree, Marcus emerged unscathed. The attack, known for its ability to pulverize mountains in mere seconds, seemed to have had no effect on the necromancer hero. Not a single strand of his hair was out of place, and his demeanor remained unfazed, revealing a level of resilience that defied the very laws of the created reality. The heroes, witnessing this, could only ponder the magnitude of the challenge they faced in the formidable Marcus Brutus. That was space-time distortion, exclaimed Rathnar in disbelief. Even Khan was baffled because with his third enlightenment in space law, he could tell the difference between normal teleportation and change the space itself. He didn't move from his position. Instead, he twisted the fabric of reality along with the flow of time itself. Khan pondered to himself as he observed Marcus Brutus's seemingly impervious stance. He was present at the exact location when the attack struck, but the space acted like a temporal limbo from a time when he wasn't standing in that position. This is a very powerful manipulation of both space and time. Khan marveled at the intricate mastery Marcus displayed over the fundamental forces that governed existence. The comprehension of such advanced manipulation left him with a profound sense of the challenges they were up against in their confrontation with the necromancer hero. That seems like one of the perks of Visionary's reality divine ability, it seems. He is the absolute master of this realm, so controlling both time and space doesn't seem impossible. Cited Rathnar in Khan's mind. Seriously, he is doing something that only a person with third enlightenment in both space and time law can do in this world. And to imagine that Visionary's reality could be used for something like this just because he imagined it to become true. Man, I thought my divine abilities were too OP. Wondered Khan. Do you think our plan will work in this situation? Asked Rathnar in a worried tone. We only have a 30% chance of winning at this rate. And most of it depends on Maximus risking his life to create that opportunity for me. Responded Khan with an incredulous expression. Things were not going as he initially planned at all, and the risk of losing was ever increasing. Atreus, I don't think we can succeed at this rate despite all of our powers combined. Marcus Brutus has had 7 centuries to perfect his skills and this divine ability. He obviously has plans to come out as the victor regardless of the situation we force him to. Your plan? It might not work at this stage. Spoke the hero of nature in Khan's mind from afar. Even Khan in his Atreus persona had a despondent countenance because Maximus was indeed correct. Not unless I use it, said the hero in a grim tone. Do you mean your divine weapon? Asked Khan. No, I can't use it here even if I wanted to. Otherwise, even the god's altar in this realm will be destroyed along with everything in here. What I mean is, my third divine ability. Iterated Maximus as he kept charging and attacking Brutus from a distance in his Titan form. If it can create an opening, so be it. Responded Khan with a solemn voice. As for what the third divine ability of the hero of nature was, Khan had no idea but had to act the part since he said he was a spy of the Empire who knew about Maximus' powers and their weaknesses. It will be active only for 10 minutes and I will not be able to fight after the activation time ends. So it's all up to you whether we live or die after that. informed Maximus and stopped his attacks. Swoom! Boom! In the ensuing seconds, Marcus's titanic form emanated thousands of ethereal orbs of energy, transforming the entire battlefield into a mesmerizing sea of stars. Within this cosmic display, all elements of nature burst like bubbles. Each multicolored ethereal orb radiated a surge of elemental waves, encompassing darkness, lightning, light, wood, metal, water, earth, and wind. The battlefield was now flooded with the manifestations of all 8 elements of nature, out of the 13 elements of reality. Meanwhile, Maximus underwent a profound transformation on the other end of the spectrum. No longer a massive 1-kilometer-tall titanic figure, he had condensed into a 10-meter-tall humanoid shape composed of pure energy. "Kid, this is similar to your," spoke Rathnar in disbelief. "I know. To think that there was someone else among the other chosen heroes," muttered Khan to himself, suppressing his shock. Because the current form Maximus had achieved was exactly similar to Khan's cosmic ether form. This was a form Khan achieved only after gaining the third enlightenment in the space law inside the conjunction of space that was part of the Tablet of Arcana. And unlike Khan, who had his entire being turned into a bluish cosmic entity, Maximus was made of all the 8 elements of nature. To think that a divine ability would allow him to temporarily become a being with third enlightenment in all the 8 elements of reality and have absolute affinity as well as control over them. "This is so broken," spoke Khan in annoyance. "Just imagine how strong this divine ability will be when paired with both Izanami's champion and Undying Pyre's. This guy will basically be unkillable even by me who has the dimensional law divine ability," thought Khan. This was Maximus' third divine ability, also known as Progenitor of Nature. The clash of these colossal forces promised a spectacle that transcended the boundaries of the physical and delved into the realms of elemental prowess. "Commandment of the Progenitor!" Suddenly, Maximus exclaimed in his ethereal form, in which all the elements of reality flowed across his body like converging rivers. Boom! The very next moment, the entire new realm created by Marcus started shuddering, as if some world calamity had arrived. Crack! The ground made of magma and hellfire started cracking and the dark skies started clearing at a rapid pace. Blurg! On the other side, Brutus started coughing blood as his divine ability was affected adversely. What have you done?" he exclaimed in agony, his face revealing a furious expression. Maximus only smirked a little and replied casually, "You were so proud of this realm you created just a few seconds ago, so I decided to overwhelm it with my own elements of nature." Son of a bitch. That is ingenious. Maximus basically put a Trojan horse inside this realm, and if I'm correct, then those orbs of natural elements, spoke Khan to himself. Correct. Only he can control the elements of nature that are spread inside this battlefield and not Brutus. Those powers are exclusive to him and will beckon only at his call. It was Rathnar who completed Khan's sentence. Like sending a virus into a computer network to crash the entire system, Maximus had even the battlefield, albeit for a short time. How did it affect this fight? Marcus Brutus could control the world around him using his imagination. However, Maximus could hijack that control and stop his creations from attacking them. In this domain, Brutus was like a god. However, Maximus was the one with the ability to defy the powers of that god. If Marcus Brutus was the poison, then Maximus was the antidote. However, "No!" shouted Conan from the back. Shatter. Khan, Maximus, and Borat swiftly redirected their gazes toward the rear of their formation. Even Khan, typically composed, found himself momentarily speechless. The realization dawned upon them that while Marcus Brutus had been temporarily overwhelmed and lost his advantage against Maximus, it did not equate to a complete defeat. Crumble. Suddenly, the defensive barrier at the back of their battle formation was shattered into pieces and crumbled like a sandcastle in mere moments. As they briefly celebrated the momentary victory and basked in a sense of relief, it became apparent that the necromancer hero was far from taken aback. Instead, he had already initiated the process of dismantling their party formation. The tide of battle had not yet settled, and Marcus Brutus was determined to regain control and turn the tables once more. Boom! In a sudden surge of black hellfire, two figures were engulfed by the scalding pillars of heat. Several defensive formations, spells, magic barriers and artifacts all acted together to protect these two entities that were a third and fourth stage saints. However, to no avail. Both of them were scorched and reduced to nothingness until not even their ashes remained. The horrifying event unfolded with such swiftness that none of the members of the hero's party had the time to react. Brutus, strategically targeting the saints who played pivotal roles in buffing their allies during the battle, had swiftly claimed his victims. In an abrupt and devastating move, the necromancer hero had killed Speaky and Awakens. The seventh hero of nature had taken out the two mages of the hero's party right when things seemed going the right way for them. In the following moments, he did not even give them time to absorb the shock and attacked the hero's party incessantly. Brutus created a meteorite made of fire and magma and launched it at Maximus. Maximus, on the opposite end, created thousands of slingshots with ice boulders in the center. Brutus then created a dragon made of lightning. In response, Maximus created hundreds of spears made of darkness element. Brutus tried to shift the gravity and made the attacks fall on Maximus, using his own powers against him, but Maximus simply changed the direction of the attacks in the opposite side. Brutus controlled reality, but while using progenitor of nature divine ability, Maximus had control over all his elements and Brutus could not affect or control them in any way like previously. Both sides then created massive 300 meters tall long snake-like creatures that started attacking each other. Brutus made one from magma while Maximus created one using ice. Swoosh! At the same time, a blue figure hopped onto the body of this ginormous creature and started running on its scaly surface. While slithering and dodging through air, the two serpents clashed against each other, twisting and turning their bodies over each other while trying to bite off big chunks of mass from the opponent. Screeches and battle cries filled the surrounding 20-kilometer radius. "Quick! I have only 5 more minutes," spoke Maximus to Khan. Swoosh! Khan started running across the gaps between these two monsters and leaped off drum between them like he was completely unaffected from the scalding magma and freezing ice. The best way to take out an enemy who can create things just by imagining it is to overwhelm their senses and brain so much that they can't think fast enough, spoke Khan. This was their plan. However, why was Khan openly attacking Brutus if their plan was to overwhelm him? "You think this type of petty trick will work on me?" said Brutus, and the very next second, he moved from his position and attacked on his left with a swing of his left forefinger. Slash! Out of nowhere, a figure appeared from thin air and a blue wolfkin was cut in half. "I know you can use doppelgangers. I saw it when you fought Sylvana and Zalvik. I also know you have a natural immunity against darkness element. I know all of your aces already," proclaimed Brutus, completely unfazed. Bang! Suddenly, 100-meter-long icicle dropped from the sky and attacked Brutus. This was Maximus attacking from a distance. Shing! Soon, a massive net of light element that was stretched for 3 kilometers in radius materialized and covered the sky while hundreds of metallic spears shot from the ground covered in lightning. "So persistent," scoffed Brutus as he gestured his scepter and tilted it horizontally. Crackle! Dozens of spherical shields made of darkness were created to stand against the onslaught of these spears. As for the massive and inescapable net was attacked from several stone boulders that Brutus lifted from the ground that was once nothing but hard rocks. The whole transforming the sand into stone, metallic spear and even lightning attacks took mere seconds as Brutus was changing the composition of matter with ease, changing the elements with absolute no effort using his divine ability. "Not yet, biatch." Boom! Suddenly, an extremely powerful punch hit Brutus in his back. Shoot! Like a bullet shot from a gun, the necromancer hero was shot below from that single punch, breaking multiple sound barriers in his wake. Boom! As his body descended and colluded at the stone peaks below and the magma shot upwards like an erupting volcano, the surrounding 2 kilometers was devastated. "How? I'm sure I killed the real you," exclaimed Brutus as he leaped from the magma and looked at Atrus who just attacked him. In a sense, he wasn't wrong. However, the Atrus he killed wasn't Khan but his cosmic replica. Unlike the doppelgangers, the cosmic replicas could imitate his exact aura of fifth-stage saint as if it was the real him. Forget Brutus, but even Maximus was fooled when he saw the former cut Atrus in half. That's where you're wrong. Whoosh! Whoosh! Soon, for more versions of him, each emitting the exact world energy signature appeared in the sky. They're all the real me, announced Khan, and all the 5 copies of himself attacked the necromancer hero after spreading in multiple directions. Fenrir's Wrath, shouted one Atrus. Waterblade Hurricane, shouted another one. Azure Dragon Fist, spoke the third one. One after another, a volley of powerful attacks containing the might of a 5th-stage saint launched from multiple sides. Even with the mind of a 6th-stage saint, despite having a mental capacity of multiple people at once, what Brutus could not overcome was the constraints of time that was taken while transforming the world around him to make his counterattacks. Things will take time to manifest even if your mind could think about them in a microsecond. And this was one of the limitations of the visionary's reality divine ability. A second was more than enough for a 5th-stage saint to make the killing move. Boom! The sky rumbled and hundreds of lightning bolts dropped and attacked Brutus as he was busy defending against Atrus. Don't forget about me. I'm still here, spoke Maximus in his progenitor form with a visible mocking expression. Bang! Another wave of attacks hit the necromancer hero hard, and his entire body suffered immense pain from being electrocuted. Shameless bastards! Do you not have any honor of a warrior? Ganging up against a single enemy like a bunch of cowards, he exclaimed furiously. Heh? Says the guy who summoned a gang of full-fledged saints against a group of semi-saints. Who's the coward here then? Asked Khan, taunting the necromancer hero as if the latter was a third-rate villain. This, the 7th hero of nature, bit his lips in embarrassment, but his haggard and hunched body that was hit by several attacks for the first time stood enraged. This won't work on me again. He spoke, angered to his core. This was a realm of his own creation, and even the air worked at his will. But now he was being thrashed by a bunch of outsiders in his own battlefield. But it was this very moment he sensed something was amiss. Swoosh! Brutus quickly dodged an invisible attack as if it came from a different dimension itself. Oh, so he can sense me from the true dimension. I guess this realm affects my presence in the true dimension somehow, spoke Khan, who had been waiting for this opportunity from a while. He quickly then switched with one of his cosmic replicas in the real world. Wait, if that was also him, then it makes on, why 4 of them? Where is the 5th one? A harrowing realization dawned on the necromancer hero as he remembered the exact numbers of Atrus when the battle started again. Clank! While he was lost in thoughts for a mere moment, Maximus had also cast a powerful skill on his end. Shatter. The entire realm started shattering on its own, as if some sort of heavenly tribulation had struck from the outside world. You keep forgetting that I'm still here. I feel neglected now, spoke Maximus in a kingly voice as he was done breaking down this realm. This does. How is that possible? Bellowed Brutus in utter bewilderment as he could not believe his own 2 eyes. The light elemental net I created. It was just a temporary decoy, made to seal your senses as Atrus attacked you in that small space. Meanwhile, I have been attacking and decimating this realm from the outside using my divine ability, while you were busy fighting just a single opponent. Iterated Maximus with a smug and prideful grin. This was the plan all along. To force the necromancer hero solely on the battle with Maximus and Atrus, as the former actually attacked the realm, while the latter created multiple attacks to distract Brutus, while the former sealed them in a secluded battlefield. Rumble! Just as he finished his words, Brutus suffered an immense backlash. Blurg! From the shock of his realm being thoroughly destroyed, Marcus Brutus suffered heavy damage both to his body, aka his core, and also his soul, since divine abilities were directly tied to a hero's soul. This was the 2nd time his soul was damaged in a row, and now, his body was on the brink of falling. You wretched insects! I'll kill all of you even if I have to self-destruct myself, bellowed Marcus Brutus with a vengeful expression as he finally lost all of his composure. Not so easy, sunshine, a grim voice whispered in his ears. Whoosh! Right from the necromancer hero's own shadow, the fifth and the real Khan appeared. And because of his damaged state, the seventh hero of nature could not even run away. Shing! Khan's eyes suddenly turned golden yellow and Marcus Brutus closed his eyes from sheer fear. However, the next moment his eyes opened, the entirety of the battlefield had changed. He was no longer in the vast expanse of the white sand desert, but in a grand hall made of stones and intricate architecture. This place was filled with chairs, multiple layers of pavements and wooden desks as well as chairs, resembling a council hall. This can't be. Why the hell am I here again? Spoke Brutus in complete disbelief as he recognized this place from a life long forgotten. Why am I back in Curia Julia? He spoke to himself. Why did you betray me, Brutus? Suddenly, a grim and resentful voice landed in his ears. Brutus' entire body was filled with shock and goosebumps, as he instantly recognized the person to whom this voice belonged. He mustered his courage and turned around, only to see a face that haunted him even in his new life as the hero of nature. How are you? Still alive? Stuttered Marcus Brutus as if he had seen a ghost and finally spoke the name of this entity. Julius Caesar. The surrounding environment in the Senate Hall turned somber, and the air was filled with dread as well as horror as Marcus Brutus, the seventh hero of nature, met an unexpected and painfully forgotten relic of his past. A gray-haired old man in a long purple gown made for noblemen, who seemed to be in his mid-50s, appeared in front of the necromancer hero. You were my friend, Brutus. You fought beside me from time to time. The old man with short gray hair spoke in a resentful and grim voice. I trusted you. I thought of you as a comrade in arms who would face any foe with me. I even granted you amnesty when you sided with my enemy, Pompey. All that trust and kindness that I have shown you, you repaid it with a knife in my chest right inside Curia Julia where we stand now, declared Julius Caesar. Only after a few minutes of absorbing and recovering from this shocking turn of events, did Brutus speak in an incredulous tone. You were losing your mind, Julius. I stood by your side when the entire Senate of Rome was against you. I fought by your side even when Rome treated you as a madman during the Civil War. I repaid the kindness you gave me multiple times, rebuked Marcus in a furious voice. But what did you do? Your ambition was so high that you became a tyrant rather than a ruler chosen by the people, revealed the seventh hero. And that is why I joined with the other liberators, to stop you from destroying the laws of the empire, he exclaimed in a determined tone, carrying no sense of remorse on his countenance. Humph! Such nonsense, scoffed Caesar as he looked at Brutus with a disappointed gaze. The elites, whether they were nobles or the politicians of the empire, instigated you and shamed you into believing that you were destined to follow your ancestors' glory and put an end to my rising power. You were just a pawn in their scheme to remove me, Brutus. And despite all that knowledge and experience you had as a literate man, a general and as my friend, you still fell for it and led the assassination by yourself, revealed Caesar, the former dictator of the Roman Empire. In the end, they wanted their own ambitions to prevail, and I was a thorn in their sight. You just couldn't see how the snakes used you to kill your own friend, declared Caesar as he kept looking at Brutus with eyes filled with disgust. That is a lie, said Brutus. You wished to become the dictator of Rome for life. It would have broken all of our ancestral laws and liberty of Rome under your reign. I was simply the spearhead who brought down a man who was acting like a god instead of the servant of the people, declared Brutus in a resolute voice, firm in his own conviction. Is that so? Asked Caesar in a mocking tone. Then what happened to you after my death? Did you take the command of Rome and make it a better place than I ever did? His haughty voice echoed in the Senate Hall. Did you expand our empire? Did you acquire more lands and resources for our people to flourish? His loud voice reverberated through every wall, pillar, and the floor of the hall. To this, Brutus turned silent as if he recounted another horrifying memory. No, you didn't do any of that. Instead, you hid like a coward for 2 years and then fled from Rome just to keep your head on your shoulders, spoke Caesar in an admonishing tone. My adopted son, Octavian, declared you and all the other liberators as traitors of the Roman Empire. You fought his forces in Philippi, and when you lost, you took your own life," said Caesar as he openly taunted Brutus. "What would you know? I was a hero who fought for justice and rights for the people of Rome, and I refused to die as a prisoner of war. Even if you might think of it as a disgrace, I call it taking control of my own fate, where I decided to that my last moments will be of honor and dignity," retorted Brutus with eyes full of anger. Just his rebuttals was enough to raise the temperature of the entire surrounding. But suddenly, a realization dawned on the necromancer hero. How do you know that about my death? You were already dead for years by then." His voice faltered with shock, and just as he asked the most important question, the domineering figure of Julius Caesar started transforming on its own. The body suddenly turned taller, broader, and the facial features completely changed along with the color of the hair. The legendary rank dark gray longcoat remained just as majestic as before, but now the stature was more domineering than before. Julius Caesar had now turned into Khan, in his real human appearance. Stunned. "Who are you?" asked Brutus loudly as he was stunned on the spot. His great friend, whom he assassinated, had suddenly turned into a completely different person. "I'm someone from Earth just like you. The only difference is that I was born more than 2,000 years later than your time," spoke Khan, who was now bigger, buffier, and had long black hair at the age of 30 years. Even his voice had turned more manlier and deep compared to before, as if he had evolved into a different person. "And let me tell you something. Even after your death and the fall of the Roman Empire, history remembers you differently than you think," he declared to Marcus Brutus, who was still bewildered by this situation. "You were not praised or titled as some liberator, and neither were you hailed as the hero of the Romans. No, even to this day, the world thinks of Julius Caesar as one of the greatest generals to live," revealed Khan as he mentioned the truth of the history from present times on Earth. "They sing praises of his accolades and treat his name with respect. You, on the other hand, history remembers you simply as," said Khan as he declared the moniker that history remembered the seventh hero of nature, Marcus Brutus, in his home world. Brutus, the coward. Devastation washed over Brutus as he learned how his name was etched in the annals of history. Brutus, the coward. The weight of this title struck at his pride and psyche in the most shameful and hurtful way. A man of pride, he couldn't fathom how things had taken such a turn. For a brief moment, he was left in disarray, grappling with the reality that instead of being hailed as a liberator or a hero who did what was necessary, the world deemed him a traitor. The burden of this ignominious label weighed heavily on Brutus, casting a shadow over the very ideals and aspirations he had once fought for. "Is that true? Is what you said the absolute truth?" he asked Khan with a desperate look on his countenance. Khan, in response, nodded silently. "Why should I believe you? All of this could be an illusion," rebuked the necromancer hero. Boom! But the very next second, Khan let out his true aura of darkness. Gasp! This aura is exactly the same as the seventh hero of darkness, Darius Ashbourne, spoke Marcus Brutus as he gasped in disbelief. "Oh, so that was his name. Well, it's been a long time since then," said Khan, who was still in his real human appearance. "I'm the ninth hero of darkness, Khan Salvator." He introduced himself. "I was summoned to Vantria 6 years ago. I have been in the Nader Empire, the one you knew as the Falker Empire, for the past 1 year." He iterated with a stern look. What are you doing here? I don't think any empire or even gods would allow a coalition between two chosen heroes. So what the hell are you doing inside Hesperides, precisely in the peninsula of Babylon created by God of Nature at that?" he asked quickly to Khan with an intrigued expression. Khan did not hold back and told him how circumstances forced him to enter Babylon this way to save his own life. Even Marcus was taken aback after hearing how fate had brought Khan inside this place. "So a lot happened in the outside world ever since I was stuck here," spoke Brutus with a contemplative countenance. Next, it was Khan who asked the question. "Tell me something. How come you've been trapped here for the past 700 years? To my knowledge, No empire would abandon their hero inside Hesperides during the conclave of heroes. To his query, Brutus did not see any point in hiding for some reason. I'm here thanks to a fault of my own. And if what that lionkin said is right, then there must have been an uprising in the Falker Empire when the conclave of heroes was happening back then. And as per my memory, the emperor and the abbot of Falker Empire were also with us here. They probably went back to Falker to fight the uprising and died there. He hypothesized. That's understandable, said Khan in a soft tone. But what did you do to deserve such solitary damnation that made you stay here for 700 years? Asked Khan curiously. Khan could understand what happened outside when the beastkin races had rose up against humans who enslaved them and thrown them away as the ruling power of the Beast Empire. But what he did not understand why was Marcus Brutus, the seventh hero of nature who chose amazing divine abilities such as necromancy and visionaries reality, was condemned there. It's because during the trial I had to face inside Babylon, I committed a taboo. Spoke Marcus. My trial was different than this one you have faced. It was more about completing nigh impossible tasks that would make one question their own sense of justice and morality. After a lot of days and non-stop efforts, I managed to reach the final part of the trial. However, it required me to do something I never thought of. He divulged a harsh memory of the past. In the final test, there were 4 altars in front of us. Each required the sacrifice of a saint who had a particular element. And there weren't just 6 of us back then. There were 10. He spoke with a somber tone. Stunned. Khan was stunned after hearing this. So you sacrificed the lives of your own party members? He asked. Yes, I did so regrettably. I used my divine abilities to capture and sacrifice them to those altars to succeed in the trial. Back then, I told myself it was for the greater good. Spoke Brutus with an ashamed expression. His expression then turned that of a guilty and apologetic man. I told myself that I needed to succeed in the trial so that I could become strong enough to kill the demon god and save this world, like I was supposed to. And to do so, I had to make a great sacrifice. He revealed. But I realized later that it was just an excuse I used to justify my cruelty against my own comrades, that I took the easiest route. Humph, scoffed Khan. If I was in your place, I would have never done so. I would have rather died with them than used their lives as means to advance in my own ambition. And trust me, I'm the type who barely trusts other people, said Khan in an admonishing tone. Marcus nodded and chuckled sarcastically. You're correct. That is what I should have done. He spoke and his shoulders slumped down. After completing the trial and entering the god's altar, I met the god of nature. But contrary to my belief that I did what I had to do for the greater good, the god of nature thought otherwise. He iterated solemnly. He then told me that the last part of the trial was a test that I had to overcome as a chosen hero. Instead of sacrificing my comrades, I should have offered my own life since I was the hero of nature with maximum affinity to all those 4 elements in the first place. The trial was designed so that my character would be tested and also offer me an opportunity to become a different man, a true hero, not by name but by conviction. Revealed the 7th hero of nature. After hearing those words, Khan spoke. I guess that trial gave you an opportunity to receive redemption for betraying and killing Julius Caesar, who was once your friend and your comrade in arms. Yet you made a similar choice by sacrificing others in the name of the greater good for the world and betrayed them just like you did with Caesar, saying that it was for the good of Rome. He declared his honest opinion. Only a sense of regret and face full of tears was revealed in the next moment as Brutus started to give up. You are correct. I had a chance to change into a better man. But I chose the same path even in this life. He spoke with great regret in his voice. Instead of becoming the savior, I chose to become the sinner. Marcus Brutus, the 7th hero of nature, revealed the grave sin he committed in the past just to pass the trial set by the god of nature for him inside Babylon to enter the god's altar. And the way he achieved that even left Khan perplexed. God of nature was furious with me after seeing how I handled things. He said that I did not deserve to be a chosen hero, and he could never trust the fate of the world with someone like me who would even sacrifice his closest people, who fought with me even at death's door, instead of fighting against the chains of fate, said Brutus, and revealed the consequences of his choices. That day, God of nature cursed me and the remaining of my party members to be stuck here inside Babylon. And the only way to leave would be to kill another hero or heroine of nature and offer their core as the sacrifice at God's altar to leave Babylon. Revealed Brutus helplessly, his face still carrying the shame of his past decisions. It was God of nature's divine punishment for me committing that grave crime. He spoke solemnly. Soon his gaze turned to Khan. Tell me something, hero of darkness. If I'm not wrong, you could have killed me already, since this is but an illusion and my real body is outside. He iterated in a calm yet curious tone. So why go so far as to show me the memories of Caesar when all you need now is to swing your palm to cut off my neck? He asked with no fear. Khan nodded at this query by the necromancer hero. This was the truth, because Khan and Maximus had already dismantled both of Seventh Hero's divine abilities. His means to access world energy, and also his core by severing his connection to his powers. At this moment, he was practically at their mercy and could be killed swiftly. Yet, for some reason, Khan used lucid reality on him, reenacted the memories of the assassination of Julius Caesar, and was still conversing with Brutus. You are correct. I could have killed you minutes ago. But I created this illusion because I wanted to talk to you, since we're both from the Earth, albeit from different eras of human civilization, stated Khan in a calm yet disappointed tone. But after hearing you and knowing the reason, I think you should give up now. He spoke in an estranged voice. On Earth, your name is a reminder of the epitome of betrayal by a friend. In Vantria, people who are alive now don't even know or remember your name. And even now, you used your dead allies to fight against us by using your necromancy divine ability. He declared his views unapologetically. Tell me something. Do you still believe that you deserve another chance in life? What will change even if you somehow managed to kill us all and left Babylon? Asked Khan without a shred of sympathy on his face. There is no one waiting for you outside. Everyone who knew you is already dead, including your party members. There is no home left for you in Vantria, said Khan in an adamant tone. And even if you tried to replace Maximus as the hero of nature to the outside world, you will either be captured and enslaved by the current beast empire, which hates humans and even treats Maximus as a mere pawn, or you will be targeted by other empires for your divine key, since it is not awakened just like me. Spoke Khan in an authoritative tone. What? How did you know that my divine key is no longer awakened? Asked Marcus Brutus in disbelief. To his befuddled query, Khan replied calmly. Because I have killed and absorbed the hero of fire's divine key, Flame Scion. And since it was already awakened, now I also control his divine weapon, Amaterasu. Explained Khan. A divine key's main use is to bind the hero and the divine weapon. The awakening process just activates that connection between the hero and the divine weapon. And if I'm not wrong, without the awakening process, no hero can use their own divine weapon, and their divine key can be absorbed by other heroes as well, even if they lose access to that hero's divine weapon in the process. Afterward, all they have to do is enter that hero's designated peninsula, and the god's altar meant for them to limit break by 2 to 3 stages. Revealed Khan. This revelation was something the divine weapon, Amaterasu, had told Khan on the day he acknowledged and decided to impart the soul technique after taking Khan as his new master. All Brutus could do was nod in agreement, since he too knew of this as a former hero. Since Maximus has the divine weapon now, means your divine key is no longer awakened. Hence, you are also a prey for the other empires just like me. But compared to me, who has 3 divine abilities and a fully mastered divine weapon, do you think you will survive? Asked Khan in a pragmatic tone. Shock. Stunned. Brutus was suddenly hit with a sense of realization as he closed his eyes and contemplated for a few minutes. You're correct. I neither have a home to go to, and neither do I have a purpose left in this world. I would be hunted down just like you and won't be able to protect myself. The only fate that awaits me is being enslaved and killed. a similar fate that I once ran away from on Earth before I committed suicide rather than suffer humiliation. I am a man who deserves neither redemption nor retribution," spoke Brutus in a contemplative voice. A couple of minutes later, he opened his eyes and looked at Khan with eyes full of sorrow. "People say that everyone deserves a second chance. But I have squandered that chance of mine and chose to be the same person again. I do not deserve any more chances to change my life. I might end up committing even graver sins that I already have," stated Brutus as his entire countenance turned into that of a defeated man. "Thank you for making me realize what I need to do instead of holding on to my delusional perception of reality. As much as I would love to talk to you about the evolution of us humans on Earth and what happened in the future," said Brutus as he looked at Khan yearningly, "I see no point in me carrying on further." Khan nodded in response without showing any semblance of empathy. People like Marcus Brutus were the kind who always thought that they were born for higher purpose and did the right thing for the greater good. But in reality, they were just delusional people who could not see past their own lack of character and integrity as human beings. Forget being a hero. People like Marcus Brutus were delusional righteous leaders who often got innocents involved in conflicts that ended in genocide instead of leading their cause to achieve victory. They were right only in their heads, but in truth, they were something that a leader or a king should never be. At least, Marcus Brutus could realize his flaws and admit his wrongdoings after his defeat. Instead of living as a delusional moron, he acknowledged his failures. "I will give you a reward for opening my eyes at last. I hope you never have to repeat my mistakes and maybe you succeed in this war against the demon god. Farewell to you, hero of darkness," said Marcus Brutus as he spoke his last words. Stab. Brutus took out a dagger from his waistband and plunged it into his own heart, killing himself by suicide just like his first life on Earth. Shing! A blinding white light spread in the illusion world and Khan quickly squinted his eyes. Whoosh! Khan suddenly opened his eyes in Babylon as the illusion crumbled. And in front of Khan was the scene of Brutus ripping out his own heart and raising it upwards in a particular direction. Shing! Maximus, Borat and Conan were left speechless as Brutus' heart turned to sand, and now the core of this saint was revealed to them. A glowing purple core rose in the air and a few intangible threads spread from it, quickly launching and connecting themselves to Khan's chest. What the he? Thought Khan as he too was quickly taken aback. But before Khan could even react, "Congratulations to the host." Suddenly, the system notified in Khan's mind out of nowhere as it completed the remaining part of the announcement. The host has been gifted an unawakened divine key of a peak 6th stage saint. In an unexpected and dramatic twist of events, Khan found himself in possession of the divine key belonging to none other than the necromancer hero, Marcus Brutus. This unexpected parting gift left Khan grappling with a mix of emotions. The only plausible explanation was that Marcus, in a moment of remorse and gratitude, had chosen to entrust Khan with this powerful artifact. It seemed Marcus had come to realize the flaws in his actions and appreciated Khan's role in helping him confront the stark differences between his delusions from his past on Earth and the reality of his failures as the hero of nature in Vantria. The divine key now held in Khan's hands marked a significant turn in their dynamic, leaving Khan with a potent symbol of an unexpected twist of fate amid the chaos of their conflict. With a sense of awe and realization, Khan held not just any saint's core but the divine key belonging to a chosen hero, a peak 6th stage saint at that. The significance of this artifact was profound, representing the culmination of Marcus Brutus's power and the essence of his conviction despite waiting for 700 years just to leave Babylon. If the god's domain hadn't put the restriction of 6th stage saint rank being the highest in these lands, Marcus Brutus of today would have already been at least a 9th stage saint. Warning! System overload. The influx of world energy is too substantial for gradual assimilation. The host is scheduled for a forced breakthrough to the next saint rank in approximately 1 hour. This time frame allows the system to efficiently assimilate and create a secure pathway for the immense world energy in the host's own core, mitigating any potential negative impact on the host. Informed the system out of nowhere. Khan found himself stunned by this revelation. This feels eerily reminiscent of the last time I inadvertently touched Flame Scion. pondered Khan, drawing parallels between the two instances. Much like Axel Lobthrox, the hero of fire, the concentration of world energy within this core surpassed that of a normal inhabitant of Vantria by 4 to 5 times. The unique ability of summoned heroes and their souls allowed them to absorb this energy at a significantly higher rate. Khan himself was a viable example since he became a 5th-stage saint in just 6 years, while many natives of Vantria couldn't even become a 4th-stage saint despite training and absorbing the natural world energy for decades, sometimes even centuries. Reflecting on the past encounter with Axel, when Khan faced the 3rd-stage saint-ranked hero of fire, he experienced an instantaneous breakthrough from 1st-stage saint to 2nd-stage saint. Now, history seemed to repeat itself as the same phenomenon unfolded with Marcus Brutus's core. Although no longer awakened, the abundance of world energy within it was triggering an expedited breakthrough for Khan, a development significant enough to prompt a warning from the system itself. Unlike Axel, who was a beginner 3rd-stage saint, Marcus Brutus stood as a formidable peak 6th-stage saint. His level of mastery and experience elevated him to a point where defeating him would have been nearly impossible, if not for the strategic collaboration between Rathnar and Khan. The duo's prior knowledge of Marcus's divine abilities, coupled with Maximus's own progenitor of nature divine ability, played a pivotal role in dismantling the complexities of Visionary's reality. While some might argue that their victory against the 7th hero of nature was propelled by luck, given the specific conditions and the combined efforts of 2 chosen heroes, the undeniable truth remained. Marcus Brutus was a saint with 700 years of experience, dwelling in God's domain where world energy was 3 to 4 times denser than the outside world. The only environment that could rival the density of world energy found in Marcus Brutus's core was none other than Khan's Tablet of Arcana, a relic left behind by a demigod. In this analogy, it was akin to the gates of a dam being unleashed, with the only available outlet being a narrow canal. If not managed with precision, the unleashed energy threatened to become an overwhelming flood, capable of sweeping away everything in its path. In this scenario, Khan's body acted as the vessel for this surge, even though he was already a peak 5th-stage saint. Fortunately, the system was actively working to create a secure pathway for the imminent breakthrough, granting Khan a crucial hour-long window to organize and prepare for the impending surge of power. Back in the final region of the peninsula, the remainder of the hero's party approached Khan in his Atrus persona. Atrus, what happened? What was that purple light and the core binding itself to your chest? As Maximus and the others inquired about the sudden development, Khan began to explain the extraordinary events that transpired. The 7th hero of nature attempted to take over my body by linking our cores in his final gambit. Khan revealed, his tone carrying a mix of gravity and explanation. However, he failed in this endeavor because his life force had already been extinguished when I ended him within the illusion world, sealing his fate and preventing any further intrusion into my being. He elaborated sternly. Khan saw no reason to divulge the complete truth, refraining from sharing the details of how he exposed Marcus Brutus to the memories of his past in Rome and Caesar. There was no need to invite unnecessary questions or risk the revelation of his true identity. In his pragmatic approach, Khan didn't feel compelled to narrate the apologetic demeanor of Brutus in his final moments. Real life, he believed, was not a drama series where one might sympathize with a villain merely because they expressed remorse in their last breath. Khan recognized that not everybody deserved or needed a grand or impactful closure to their story. Finally, they departed from the battlefield, making their way back to the imposing Black Castle. After some time, they reached the throne hall where they had initially encountered Marcus Brutus. Following a dozen minutes of settling arrangements, Maximus ventured into God's altar crafted by the god of nature. Meanwhile, Khan implemented several security measures before creating a doppelganger to occupy his place. A few minutes later, with the creation of a legendary rank isolation barrier, Khan entered the Tablet of Arcana, gearing up for his next objective, to become a 6th-stage saint. As the hero of nature's party finally completed their objective to pass the final trial and defeated Marcus Brutus, the 7th hero of nature, a similar scenario could be seen in multiple peninsulas inside Babylon. Meanwhile, in a particular peninsula filled with lush greenery, sky-touching trees and wildlife filled with monsters, unique plant life, and species of various beings unseen anywhere in Vantria. A terrifying battle between multiple ginormous golems made of different elements of reality had concluded. Thud! The nearby 20-kilometer span was now a devastated battlefield with 8 mountain-like figures fallen on the ground, being the golems that were defeated by 8 warriors of different classes. The one common factor among all these people was that they were a combination of verdant and white cloaks with the golden emblem of a full-grown tree on their backs. The tree's design itself contained multiple archaic runes and patterns specific to a particular race known for their mastery of magic in Vantria. Phew! Finally, we are done with this drawn-out battle, spoke a tall 6 feet 3 inches warrior with 2 curved blades in his hands. One of these swords had lightning running across the blade, while the other one was covered in smoldering dragon fire. There were 2 massive 100-meter-long slashes on the body of the titanic golem that lay before this warrior with long waist-length silver hair, each slash meeting the other and forming an X-shaped cross while leaving traces of crackling lightning and scalding fire. This last trial was especially harder because all these guardian golems of the god's domain were comparable to legendary rank monsters while we are stuck at semi-saint rank. It would have been very easy to defeat them if we could transform into our true monster forms or at least use our domains. Spoke this man with a black right arm with wolf claws. Shoo! Not so loud, Omega. Others might hear you. Besides, no one can know that we are not like other saints and can use our domain-related skills inside God's domain either. Besides, turning into our true forms or even using the pentagon formation would have ended things too easily, replied a slow and eerie voice in the samurai warrior's head. Shut up, Ronin. It's not like I don't know, but I'm tired of playing weak and restricted compared to the battles we usually had with Master. Holding back just to not raise suspicion about our identity is just too vexing, replied Omega with an incredulous tone while assuming his persona as Raiden Hrodvitson. Besides, those 2 useless bums are getting on my nerves. Mainly that bitch of a priestess who is utterly useless and can't do anything other than cling to that hero. All she does is act weak and pretend to be out of mana when she has to support us during battles, responded Omega again. Right then, another voice joined their conversation telepathically. I agree with the wolf on this one. Hell, even Armin is better at supporting, healing, and even fighting others on his own compared to that high elf bitch. And why the hell is an incompetent nuisance like her still in the hero's party? Spoke a warrior with 2 purple horns on his head. In his hands was a black and golden-colored trident as he faced his fallen opponent, a 500-meter-tall and 4-legged tortoise-like golem that was now split into 2 halves. To his misgivings, another voice responded, because she is from the High King's class of High Elves and was part of the hero's party before they were massacred in the Immortal Dungeon. Although they blamed our master based on what we heard from the Lightning Dragon Emperor, Vildred, the hero of life was there before we arrived and got killed. His party must have died during the journey, responded Blackwell in his Sigurd Sutinger persona, who had cut off the head of a water elemental golem with 4 heads of shark-like creature. Yeah. I remember those bastards who made me bow in front of them. Had it not been for the human, I would have wrecked those bastards right there, replied Rudra, regretting the fact that he didn't get to kill the hero of life's party for them insulting him outside the Immortal Dungeon. And you would have brought us a heap of trouble too, Snakey. Thanks to our master handling the situation, we didn't have to flee from there too, replied Cyril as he masqueraded as Loki Vitkisson in his mage robes as he stood on the core of a flying red golem with wings similar to an Archaeopteryx. You guys are worried about insignificant things. I'm more concerned about this good-for-nothing hero who got injured while fighting. Seriously, even I have better control of my mana and spells while I'm only a healer. And this hero ran out of it during the fight despite being a mage. How come I'm the one with more battle experience than a chosen hero even though I practiced alchemy day and night all these years? Iterated Armin in his Darwin Gurdari persona as thousands of roots and a small army of Treants had brought down a gorilla-like golem made with metal element. Ha ha ha! Why are you guys even surprised at their incompetence and inadequacy as warriors? Unlike our master, most of the saints or even heroes who had the support of powerful forces, clans, noble families, and even empires at that, most of them relied only on resources and learned only the basic skills to raise their ranks and become a saint. Their total battle prowess and holster of skills are nothing worth comparing to our master who trained countless hours in raising his mastery and actual combat experience despite acquiring skills for free from other beings such as warriors and monsters. The game is not too hard. It's their skill issue. Spoke Oliver in his humanoid form as Icarus Vetterfolner, who had put dozens of 20-meter-wide circular holes through his archery skills inside his opponent. His declaration was met with a nod as all of them agreed wholeheartedly. But I do feel bad for her. She is also injured but still had to protect those useless cunts since we were all busy taking down these golem guardians," said Ronan, who was in his persona of Scorpion Banamatter. At this moment, there was a beehive-shaped violet magical barrier 10 kilometers away and a figure of a woman covered in cuts and bruises protecting it from the outside. Inside the barrier was a fainted figure of Ervelyn Baslark, the hero of life, being healed by Mirienne, the priestess of this hero's party. And the one woman with Nordic tattoos across her body and wore brown armor made from the hide of a wyvern. In her hands was a large and black battle-axe, dripping fresh blood while her gaze was full of warrior spirit as she faced the corpses of hundreds of monsters that now colored the ground red with their blood. If Khan was present here, he too would have been surprised to see her of all people present inside this party. Because this fearless woman who enjoyed this battle against the army of monsters despite being on the brink of death was Lager the Skjoldottir, the guildmaster of 12 Valkyries. The turmoil had finally subsided as the battle concluded on the peninsula shaped by the god of life. The triumphant party emerged as the hero of life's group, consisting largely of Khan's own subordinates. When Khan initially entered Hesperides in the guise of Atrus, a member of the hero of nature's party, he was taken aback by an unexpected revelation. His innate connection with his subordinates allowed him to sense their presence. Ronan, in particular, reached out to him through their mental link, explaining the circumstances that led them to become part of the hero of life's party. The main reason why they were here in the first place was because Khan himself sent them here. Technically, not the real Khan but the doppelganger he left in the Zivet Empire, aka the Elven Empire, as Legolas Ragnarsson. And the reason behind his action was due to the hero of life's party being allegedly annihilated by the infamous hero of darkness. After they died in the immortal dungeon when Ervelyn Baslark, the 9th current hero of life, tried to enter the final floor and control Lightning Dragon Emperor, Vildred, the conclave of heroes, became a crucial point to the Elven Empire. Although the Emperor or the Abbot of the Elven Empire were prepared for things going south and blamed the reason for their deaths on Hero of Darkness just to avoid the responsibility and discontentment of the High King's Elven class, their cunningness also became their biggest mistake. The demise of the hero of life's party in the immortal dungeon, coupled with the subsequent death of Princess Eleanor under mysterious circumstances, became a critical juncture for all the ruling figures such as the imperial family and even the monastery of God of Life. Suddenly, the entire heroes' party was massacred, and then the death of Princess Eleanor 2 weeks later under suspicious circumstances caused mayhem among the high elves and nobles classes of the empire. On the surface, the Nader Empire, aka the Beast Empire, was the alleged murderer of the princess, but many speculated that it was the hero of darkness who killed her because he wanted to send a message to the imperial family. This development significantly influenced the High King's class's stance on the reserved members of the heroes' party. The customary selection process for members of the heroes' party involved choosing individuals from the cream of the crop within the High King's classes. Despite not being the designated heirs or successors to their respective families and clans, these individuals were among the elite of the younger generation. In the context of the long-lived High Elves, who enjoyed lifespans extending for hundreds of years, members of the heroes' party were regarded as prized assets. The High Elves, facing challenges related to low birth rates, cherished these individuals who represented the pinnacle of their society. Additionally, all members of the heroes' party held the esteemed status of saints, reflecting their exceptional capabilities and contributions. Every single one of them was a warrior who could impact the fate of millions of people in the empire during the war with their enemies. And no matter what empire it was, a saint was akin to a national treasure and also considered as one of the main pillars of the clans and houses they belonged to, whether it was to prove their loyalty or to gain favors of the imperial family. All these families and clans from the High King's Elven class had sent one of their prized members to become a member of the heroes' party. And on top of it, all the deceased members were second-stage saints to fourth-stage saints when they became party members. But because of the recent events, now even the Almighty High Kings class was afraid to send another member of their families and clans due to the risk of them being hunted down by the Hero of Darkness during the Conclave of Heroes. They had already lost one pillar of their families who would make an impact on their future but sacrificing another one for the sake of a pledge that no longer served them. It made all of them withdraw from the previous arrangement with the imperial family for the first time in the history of the Elven Empire, which stood tall for the past 8,000 years. The situation was so dire that even the emperor and the abbot could no longer force or exert the old laws to send their saints as members of the Heroes' Party to the Conclave of Heroes where danger was ever so high. Because if they forced the entire High King's Elven class, there was a huge risk of causing an uprising and then inciting a civil war, as the latter would use that as justification to throw down the current reign. The monarchy was heavily dependent on the classes, families, and nobles who served them because in the end, they were but very few individuals even if they were the strongest beings of the empire. The Elven Emperor class needed the High Kings and the High Nobles class, which was made of humans, to maintain their rule as the undisputed rulers of the empire. The delicate balance of power within the empire hinged on cooperation rather than coercion. Also, they could not send the direct blood descendants of the 11 Emperor class, aka the imperial family, for this endeavor either, since Princess Eleanor was dead, the Crown Prince Aragorn was still missing, and Iskemir was part of the group that was hunting the Hero of Darkness. Thus, with all the heirs being out of the equation, the only option they had was to hire an external force that could do the job and wouldn't cause an uprising among the top authorities of the Elven Empire. The intricate web of circumstances had led to a profound shift in the traditional dynamics and decision-making processes within the empire. And finally, the emperor and the abbot found the answer to all of their problems. After doing their research, the only group that stood out the most was none other than the number 1 mercenary guild of Alfheim, also known as the Misthios Mercenary Guild. Due to the twists and turns of fate, the emperor of the Zivid Empire ended up asking for help from Misthios Mercenary Guild, the very guild created by the Hero of Darkness, whom he had declared to be the killer of most of the members of the Hero of Life's party in front of the whole world. As a consequence of his own choices, unbeknownst to him, he ended up contacting Legolas Ragnarsson, originally the very person who played a part in his daughter's death. The most outstanding feat of this specific guild, which made even the imperial authorities inclined to hire them, was that it had a total of 14 saints, the highest number of saints in any mercenary guild in the entire Elven Empire. This was a formidable number of saints that not even dukes, marquises, and the High Kings class of the Elven Empire had in their respective forces. If there came a day when there was a feud between different classes or factions of the empire due to some power struggle, those who hired Misthios had up to an 80% chance to win that feud solely based on the sheer number of saints and their ranks. Currently, there was 1 5th-stage saint, then 3 of their members were at 4th-stage saint rank, 6 at the 3rd-stage rank including the guildmaster Legolas Ragnarsson himself, and 4 members at the 2nd stage. This was a formidable force that even made the emperor feel a sense of caution. That's why, a month ago, they approached Legolas Ragnarsson with respect instead of ordering him to visit the capital like usual. The person who led the imperial envoy to Alfheim and met Legolas in his office situated at Sparta was none other than his brother, who was the abbot of the Monastery of Life and also a peak 7th-stage saint. The second strongest person in the entire Elven Empire who held as much authority as the emperor now met with Legolas, the doppelganger of Khan who shared everything in common with him except for his core and original body. Through a detailed conversation, Legolas learned the seriousness of the issue and considered a few aspects of his self-preservation. He also found out through the abbot that all the heroes needed to attain the Conclave of Heroes no matter what if they wanted to stay alive. And hence, their protection was of the utmost priority for all the empires. Due to their current situation, they needed the Misthios Guild's assistance. Obviously, the abbot also shifted the blame on the Hero of Darkness as part of the official story and tried to convince Legolas to send his best people to assist and protect Ervalin Baslark, the Hero of Life during Conclave of Heroes. If I'm still alive, means my real body is also alive and well. But if I don't know about this whole divine essence part of being a chosen hero, then I'm as good as dead after the Conclave of Heroes. Still, there's a chance I will be present there either by luck, coincidence, or the machinations of the God of Darkness. The problem is I can't personally go there since this is but a doppelganger body and I will be found out very quickly. But that's not the case for my subordinates who have real bodies and can hide their true forms as well. Some of them even have pseudo-souls, so no one will be suspicious about them. And if the original me somehow arrives at Conclave of Heroes, I will need allies who can aid me once I enter that so-called God's domain. The original me will have to enter the peninsula created by God of Darkness to keep my core intact, and even if I hide my identity like I usually do, it won't be possible to have extra sets of eyes. If anything, I need more manpower. Thought Legolas long and hard after hearing everything from the abbot. I accept this offer. However, I will not be able to participate there myself since I'm the guildmaster and thousands of people rely on me to maintain order in Sparta. At best, I can send you my most talented warriors to aid the hero of life in this conclave of heroes. However, do note that we will neither be pledging any alliance or loyalty to the imperial family or the monastery. This will be pure contract-based work like we normally do. As for the payment, I would like something worth the risk since my guys may not return alive due to this threat you call the hero of darkness. Proposed Legolas to the abbot. I wouldn't have it any other way either, child. And what do an ironborn elf like you want as fair payment? Do you want a title or do you want a seat among the high elves? As long as I and the emperor give the word, anything can be done. Spoke the old high elf who was more than 600 years old. A title such as a high noble is useless to me because it doesn't come with much authority. I'm not like those desperate humans who risk their lives and spend decades just to get recognition from the high elves. Responded Legolas with a composed demeanor. And neither do I want a seat amongst the high elves since I'm an ironborn. I will always be an outcast there. So instead, I want something of value, something far more worth than a title of a noble or the right to sit among the high elves. He iterated calmly. And what is that? Asked the abbot curiously. Both of the options he presented were something people in the Zivit Empire would kill for. For centuries, humans in this empire had devoted themselves to the nation and served the imperial rule in one way or another to receive titles and authority to control regions of the empire once recognized by the imperial family. Many had received place in military and some even become counts and viscounts in the Zivit Empire. Even the normal elves, who were part of the upper class by default due to their hierarchy system among the races, could only dream about being accepted into the high elf class, which was the main ruling population of the empire. Yet, for some reason, this ironborn elf who descended from the bloodline of Bjorn Ragnarsson, the fourth hero of life, a heritage frowned upon by the high elves, chose to decline both of them. At this point, even the abbot was anticipating what reward Legolas wanted to send his people on this suicide mission. What he didn't know was that he was trying to make a deal with Con Salvator, the man who forced beings like Rathnar Whitlock, the former Peak Saint of Antria, and the former Lightning Dragon Emperor, Vildred Mortalix, to enter a life-and-death soul oath as well as contract of familiarity with him, even when he was at the brink of death. Con was the kind of greedy man who wanted everything he could squeeze out from the other side even in the face of imminent destruction. No way he was going to let this chance go when the other side didn't know that they were making a deal with the devil himself. To send 9 of my best warriors to their possible deaths just to protect a hero. I want something that's worthy of being part of the 9 realms. Spoke Legolas with a devilish smirk. Chill. Even the peak 7th stage saint felt a chill running through his spine as he saw the face full of unending avarice on Legolas' face as the guild master of the Misthios finally declared, I want ownership of the entire Alfheim. The conversation between Legolas and the abbot took a surprising turn as soon as the ironborn elf demanded the entire Alfheim as his reward for sending his warriors as part of the hero of life's party. This was an outrageous demand that even left the peak 7th stage saint like the abbot speechless. Legolas wanted Alfheim for many reasons. This was comparable to Verlassen fiefdom he had in the Rakos Empire, whether it was in terms of dungeons, monster resources, mining cores, economic hub, and even authority in the Empire's matters. Having this under his complete rule, independent of the Empire's jurisdiction, was akin to having his own duchy. Although Alfheim was only 600 kilometers in its total span, much smaller than Verlassen fiefdom, which spanned 8,000 kilometers, the monetary and resource values it held were astronomous. Just by controlling who entered Alfheim and who did what kind of business in these lands, Legolas could gain a large amount of money in the name of tolls and taxes alone. Hence, with the pride of the entire Zivit Empire on the line, Legolas did not hold back and directly asked for Alfheim as his reward. Think about it, Lord Abbot. What would all the other empires think if Hero of Life shows up without even a party? He stated and asked calmly, hiding his greedy expression. All the emperors and empresses as well as the chosen heroes and heroines will treat the Zivit Empire as a joke globally. And on top of it, if the hero, in whom the empire has invested so much resources and is supposedly the representative of the great god of life, also ends up dying during the conclave of heroes, it will be too big of a problem for you. He cited in an articulate tone, hinting further repercussions. Who will herald the Elven Empire during the upcoming war against the demon god? Asked Legolas in a coy tone. Abbot, on the other end, was completely surprised. How did you know that? The war with the demon empire and the demon god has not been made public yet by any of the empires that aren't directly on their borders. Inquired the abbot. I have eyes and ears in this empire too, you know. I didn't become the #1 mercenary guild of Alfheim within a year by pure luck. Iterated Legolas as he leaned back on the sofa. Still, ownership of the Alfheim is too much of a price, said Abbot with a hesitant voice. Normally, they wouldn't be making such a polite demand from anyone, and used his strength as a peak 7th stage saint to make others submit and serve them without question. But the circumstances had forced even him to tread carefully while talking with Legolas. Compared to the importance of Hero of Life safely returning to the Empire and the faith of all the citizens staying loyal to the Imperial family, which will also keep the High King's Elven class at bay, I'd say you're getting a very favorable deal, responded Legolas with a casual smile. You can't have everything for free in this world, Lord Abbot. You need people to believe in your supremacy and in your capabilities as rulers and protectors of the Empire. If you give them a reason to no longer support you, there will be a civil war between both commoner class and the High Elves. The Hero of Life returning alive is far more important than keeping Alfheim under your control, said Legolas as he implored the abbot. Khan was a master negotiator at this point in his life who knew how to use the opposition's weakness to the fullest extent. To his proposition, the abbot spoke softly. A lot of people will be unhappy, especially all the High Elves classes across the Empire. To this worrying words, Legolas replied, Let the dogs keep barking. If they try to bite me, I will pull out their teeth by myself. All you have to do is give me the ownership of Alfheim as its sole ruler and officially declare it in the whole empire. I will deal with the politics and potential threats without letting them affect you or the emperor. I have 2 conditions though, spoke the abbot. What is it? We want that newly ascended 5th stage saint in this party. Also, we want Lager the Skjoldottir among the list of warriors. He cited his terms. But why her? Asked Legolas, hiding his surprise. Then the abbot replied calmly, We know you recently absorbed the entire 12 Valkyries after 7 of their saints died in the Immortal Dungeon. And since you can't be present in the hero's party yourself, we want someone with experience and strength to lead a group of saints. Consider it as a safety measure. He explained, That decision lies with Lagertha. I cannot decide it for her myself. Also, if she dies, then all the members of her previous guild will blame it on me that I sent her to the gates of hell. Explained Legolas. In reality, he could risk his subordinates because the original him could always revive them even if they died in the Conclave of Heroes. But the same could not be said for Lager the 4th stage Saint Berserker Guildmaster of 12 Valkyries. After some time, Lagertha was summoned in Legolas' office and met the abbot. I'm not even the strongest person in the guild. Yet you considering me worthy to join the hero's party is a great honor, replied Lagertha and bowed in respect. She then agreed to the abbot's terms and the contract was officially in motion. After few minutes, the abbot used an artifact and talked with the emperor in private. After an hour passed, both of them swear through an oath scroll, a form of conduit to make their contract official, that Legolas will be granted Alfheim as long as Ervalin returned alive from the Conclave of Heroes. After the abbot left, Legolas spoke to Lagertha in a solemn tone. You know, I didn't want you to go there. It has been just 5 months since the remainder of the 12 Valkyries joined us as part of the Misthios Guild. Most of them still think of you as their guild master. If anything were to happen to you, it would cause great chaos among the guild, which would be deadly to not only the innocent guild members but also those who make a living in Sparta. He iterated. I know that, said Lagertha. But I have my own honor as well. This contract would be a pivotal milestone for you and the entire guild. And it was about time I repaid you, Guildmaster Ragnarsson, for saving my people. She declared in a vehement voice. Legolas, in return, shook his head and spoke. All I did was raise my own manpower, nothing more. Sigh. Lagertha on the other end shook her head as well and sighed. I know that you don't like taking credit for all the good deeds you do for the poor and helpless people, but you practically paid all of our debt, settled all the affairs with big clients, stopped other guilds from poaching my saints and normal guild members, and stopped our old enemies from annexing us one way or another. She revealed events of the past. You also stood like a wall and saved thousands of lives of my guild members from those who wished to devour my guild through their schemes. Even I would not have been able to hold it all together for this long despite being in this profession far longer than you. She declared in a thankful tone. Thousands of my people now have homes in Sparta, they have honest and respectable work, and most importantly, they can hold their heads high while making a living, said Lagertha in a content voice. After most of my sisters died in the immortal dungeon, even I had lost all hope. Like a savior, you appeared in front of us and saved us from nigh annihilation. For that, as the former guildmaster of 12 Valeries, I owe you my life, she stated resolutely, and I wish to repay that debt by doing this job for you. Sigh. This time it was Legolas who sighed and spoke. One thing I have learned while being a leader in my life so far is that your responsibility isn't just to protect only your people but also the community around you in the society. If one pillar falls, so will the rest sooner or later. What I did was done for that very reason. He explained the reason behind his own actions. Still, if you wish to repay me this way, I won't try to stop you and end up insulting your honor as a person and as a warrior. He replied with a smile. This arrangement between Legolas and the abbot, caused by the consequences of them blaming the hero of darkness to hide their own failures, created an unforeseeable coalition between the imperial family and the Misthios mercenary guild. Legolas ended up creating plans for supporting his own original self while also reaping huge rewards by using this opportunity to further extend his influence and authority in the Elven Empire. This was the very cause why Omega, Rudra, the 6 generals and Lagertha were present at the Conclave of Heroes. Back in Babylon, Ervelyn Baslark, the 9th hero of life, finally woke up after a few hours since Omega and the others killed the legendary rank golems. Shing, a golden beehive-sharped barrier with a greenish hue encapsulated Lagertha. And the one tending to her wounded and exhausted figure with his skills and high-grade healing and stamina potions was none other than Armin. Man, what a bummer. These elves are only good at magic and having a long lifespan. His regenerative abilities are non-existent and his body is too weak to tolerate backlash from his skills after he was forced to become a semi-saint again. We would have ended this whole thing a couple of days ago if not for his frail body, said Rudra as he held Atlan, his trident, in his right hand. Ervelyn, who had just woken, heard this remark and looked around with a surprised gaze. Report to me about what happened, he commanded. Soon, Ronan in his scorpion persona told him everything about what happened ever since he fainted. Gasp! What? There were 8 of them? He asked with a shocked countenance. To his taken-aback figure, Omega in his Raiden persona spoke in solemn tone. Yes, the one you attacked was somehow at the center of it all. After you lost and fainted due to your injuries, all the others woke up from their hibernation from their respective locations spread in these lands. Thanks to Loki here, who is good at deciphering magic formations and has a lot of knowledge on golems, we found a way to defeat them, cited Ronan as he pointed at the mage. Cyril as Loki Vitkissen spoke in a nonchalant tone. All of them had a rune written in ancient elven language that represented a particular number on their cores. And the one you attacked was number 5. The only way to defeat them completely was to kill all of them in under 10 minutes and start the order from the last to the first. He explained. So how did you all manage to attack them individually while avoiding others? Asked Ervelyn with a curious tone. Rudra then smirked and declared confidently, We didn't. We killed all of them in order by ourselves in a 1-versus-1 battle. What? That's impossible. Even the one I fought was as strong as a legendary rank monster, said Ervelyn, completely stunned. This time it was Blackwell in his Sigurd persona who spoke in a stoic tone. Yes, and still each one of us killed one of them by ourselves while adjusting our timing. It was a bit challenging since we were all suppressed as semi-saints. Flabbergasted, Ervelyn was in disbelief and could not utter another word. He then looked at Mirienne, who sat close to him, and all he received in response from the priestess was a nod. Did I, a chosen hero, lose to these mercenaries who don't even have a divine ability? He thought. Mirienne, who was the secret lover of the deceased Princess Eleanor, spoke in a condescending tone. What's there to be proud of? You all did what you were supposed to do anyway. Even the displeasure in her voice could be felt by everyone present. And this time it was Oliver in his Icarus persona, who spoke in a pissed-off tone. Says the most useless among us. It wouldn't have come to this if he hadn't attacked that golem first instead of letting me and Ronan do a proper reconnaissance to figure out what type of enemies we were facing this time. He openly displayed his hostility. Ervelyn now had a downcast expression because he too understood that it was his hastiness that almost cost his own life. If all of these warriors from Misthios hadn't defeated those monsters, even he would have died despite his divine abilities. We will go and find the god's altar now, said the hero of life and stood up. However, before we move forward, know one thing, said Omega in a spiteful tone. Our job is to protect you and ensure your survival during the conclave of heroes. But that doesn't mean we're going to let down our lives for you, he iterated in a grim voice. Remember this, Lord Hero. We're not your dead subordinates, and neither do we serve the imperial family of the Zivit Empire. We're all just hired mercenaries whose job is to make sure you return alive. Nothing more and nothing less. But don't expect us to act like your loyal dogs, said Omega, not even trying to hide his enraged expression. You dare show hostility to me, you damn mixed blood? Ervelyn, in return, turned furious after he felt disrespected by Omega's words. Humph, says the half-breed, retorted Omega fearlessly. Boom! Ervelyn released his hostile aura mixed with his killing intent. Rudra, for the first time, took Omega's side and intervened. What? Do you have a problem with our attitude? Gonna cry about it after putting all of us in danger for the third time ever since we arrived? Mocked Rudra, his voice criticizing the hero of life. Ah, my blood pressure is rising again. Oi, you delinquent bunch! Shouted Lager and meddled in as soon as Armin was done healing her. He had crimson blood-red and waist-length hair, and on his back was a giant's word covered in glowing red runes. Be nice and respectful, or I'll tell the guildmaster about how you almost fought with Lord Hero and botched the job, said Lager in a patronizing voice. Humph! Guildmaster is the reason why we haven't done anything yet, spoke a certain man with his entire upper body exposed and covered in black tattoos. He had crimson blood-red and waist-length hair, and on his back was a giant's word covered in glowing red runes. The middle of his torso was like any other human, exposing his ripped six-pack abs. But his forearms had black gauntlet-like bones coming out, and both of his arms were crimson red just like the hair, as if a stream of vibrant crimson red blood was flowing under his skin. Just his glowing red eyes alone looked like they belonged to a dangerous and terrifying predator. On his visage, 2 black demonic horns protruded from both sides of his head. It wouldn't have come to this if he wasn't so impatient and weak. A hero? That has to be a joke. Even our guildmaster was many times stronger than him when he was a semi-saint, said this man who was 6 feet 4 inches, in height alone. Bang! Ervelyn banged his scepter on the ground as he was thoroughly pissed off at this point. You, what is your name? He asked with an infuriated countenance. Why? You're going to pick up a fight with me later after we leave Babylon? asked the red-haired man with red irises in his eyes. "And what if I intend to do so?" said the hero with an insidious smirk. "Are you that afraid to even tell me your name?" He taunted, knowing that nobody would dare to go against him because he was the hero of life. When things came to this point, everyone had cowered before him in the past. "It's Dante Surterson," spoke the man. Stunned, Evelyn was suddenly visibly confused. "I read your profiles back last month when the Imperial family hired your guild. Wasn't Dante Surterson supposed to be a 3-meter-tall human?" asked Evelyn as he looked at Blackwell. "Well, since you never bothered to ask, I'm called Sigurd," replied Blackwell. Dante on the other side replied in a casual tone. "Looks like your intel is very old. I used to be that big guy." "What nonsense is that?" rebuked Evelyn with a puzzled expression. "How can your body go from 3 meters to 192 centimeters within a month? And how did you suddenly grow horns like the Demunkins? Do you take me for a fool?" He spoke in a threatening tone. "Not my problem. I don't owe you any explanation and neither do I care about your opinion," replied Dante in a carefree tone. "You have passed the final trial solely because of us defeating those legendary rank golems and Lager the Here fighting those hordes of monsters that attacked you while you were unconscious. She almost died while that priestess was healing you inside a protection barrier. But instead of thanking us or showing any form of gratitude, you are picking up fights because we are criticizing your rash decisions and incompetence," declared Dante in a kingly tone. "I guess your dead comrades never pointed out what kind of idiotic and reckless leader you were just because of you being a chosen hero of the Elven Empire. But don't mistake us for them since we don't care about all that fancy custom," he iterated. Dante's voice then turned serious. "In a world where strength is obsolete, you don't have the right to complain if you're weaker than everyone else," he declared in a domineering tone. Evelyn has veins visible on his face because of rage, but he was holding back. Not because he didn't want to attack Dante, but because he couldn't in his current state where his mana was very low. The same was the case for Mirienne, but she could not gather the strength to speak a word under the murderous gazes of the members of the Misthios Guild. Right then, Lager decided to calm the situation and spoke to Evelyn telepathically. "I apologize on their behalf, my lord. However, you can pick a fight with others but not him," she stated. "Why? Is this red-haired bastard some big shot in your mercenary guild?" asked Evelyn. "No, not because of that reason, but because he may not have shown it throughout this entire journey till even the last part of your trials. And the truth is, he is the strongest among all of them." Lager explained why even the hero of life shouldn't mess with Dante aka Jugram. "He is a 5th stage saint." Bewildered, even the hero of life who was still a 4th stage saint was left speechless after finding out that the strongest person in the entire Misthios Guild was neither Omega nor Rudra, but Jugram. What he didn't know was that the one before him was no longer someone with the true demon bloodline. Currently, he was the only being in the world of Vantria who had the bloodline of a long-forgotten existence that once made even the gods fear for the fate of the world. If one were to put in words, the current Jugram, who was the new apostle of Mors, the deity of slaughter, could also be titled as the new Vajrayaksha. As Maximus stood before the platinum door adorned with ancient engravings and runes, the mere presence of the entrance exuded an otherworldly aura that caused the hero of nature to stumble slightly in his steps. The atmosphere around the door seemed charged with divine energy, setting the stage for what lay beyond. "What is this feeling? It's as if my soul is leaving my body," thought Maximus, because at this moment when he stood close to the door, it felt as if he was drawn to whatever it was beyond the door. His entire being felt like it was being pulled by an inexplicable connection towards this door. At the center of this 2-meter-wide and 3-meter-tall door was a golden lion's head, made out of an unknown metal that glowed purple and red periodically. And in that lion's mouth was a blue glowing orb. "All right, the Empress told me to put my hand on the orb when I see it," spoke Maximus and cautiously placed his palm on the blue orb. Swoosh! And the very next moment, his entire figure disappeared from the room, not even leaving a gust of wind behind. After he opened his eyes, He found himself standing on a platinum platform in the form of a 10-meter radius disc. But soon, another phenomenon took place in front of him. An eternal darkness surrounded Maximus. Soon, that darkness was lit with light. After a few seconds, Earth formed, and soon, the elements of reality such as water, metal, fire, wood, lightning, light, and darkness started encompassing that Earth. The awe-inspiring sight before Maximus unfolded like the birth of an entire planet's ecosystem. As if witnessing the genesis of life, he observed the landscape taking shape, evolving, and flourishing before his eyes. The beauty and endless possibilities of creation left Maximus transfixed, momentarily forgetting his own existence in the face of this majestic display. The unfolding panorama seemed to carry the promise of boundless potential and the wonder of life's constant renewal. In front of Maximus, an entire planet was being created. Beautiful, isn't it? Right then, a voice resounded behind him. As Maximus turned his head around, in front of him appeared a vast and unending expanse of a transcendent being. This being had a humanoid appearance but with a mixture of all the elements of reality such as water, earth, metal, wood, wind, and fire, leaving many others he could not even recognize. It was like looking at a living embodiment of the world itself. The eternal being sat meditatively, its eyes closed as if lost in thought. The distance between them was several hundred kilometers away, yet it felt as if the being was right in front of him. Maximus could not help but feel a sense of awe and reverence washed over him, since he was in the presence of something truly divine. "Oh, divine God!" spoke Maximus and bowed his head in respect. The endless and eternal being in front of him was none other than the god of nature, Termesset. "How are you, my child? It feels as if it was mere moments ago when I brought you into Vantria as my chosen hero," spoke the god of nature in a voice carrying the depth of transcendent wisdom. "Well, 7 years could be considered a mere moment for a god. But it has been a while for me," said Maximus, still in a bowing position. "Raise your head, child. I can see that you've become very strong in such a short time. Compared to all of my previously chosen ones, you have shown the highest perseverance, endurance, and will to learn. You even mastered the progenitor of nature divine ability that none of my other chosen representatives could in the past 3,000 years. Your conviction in yourself and your dedication to living up to your role as a chosen hero who was brought to save this world is indeed commendable," said the god of nature without holding his genuine praise for Maximus. Maximus nodded in appreciation and asked, "So this is the god's altar?" "God's altar is just the name for the door to this dimension that you saw before. It's like a platform only the hero or heroine of nature can use after they prove themselves worthy through their trials." The expression on the god of nature's visage suddenly changed. "It's more of a symbolic representation than actually being an altar," explained the god. "I see. I did meet the 7th hero of nature. He was a very peculiar individual," spoke Maximus softly. The expression on the god of nature's visage suddenly changed. Boom! And right behind him, the planet that was being formed exploded. I had high hopes from him back then. I was flawed but a man of honor and responsibility. I believed that he deserved a second chance to become a great hero he was destined to be in his new life. But in the end, he could not act against his nature," spoke the god with a voice filled with regret and disappointment. The god's eyes gleamed slightly, illuminating thousands of kilometers in an instant. "The next heroine I chose was a remarkable woman in her world. But after seeing the disparity in terms of strength and skills in Vantria compared to her original world, she became a victim of self-imposed and ignoble thoughts. She had so much potential but always thought she didn't deserve to be a chosen heroine, as always blamed herself for not being the person she was supposed to be. On top of it, the people of the Nader Empire added only fuel to the fire since she was a human. Her confidence in herself was shattered when she entered the last part of her trial during the conclave of heroes that happened 300 years ago. In the end, she became fearful for her own life and even abandoned her party members when Marcus Brutus tried to kill her. She did not even gain my recognition when she entered the god's altar, and I did not grant her what you call the limit break," iterated God of Nature in a solemn tone. "You, on the other hand, Maximus, were chosen because you had the good qualities of both, but also had a mind that would not bend to the rules of the world no matter how tough and helpless the situation became. You are the kind who would not hesitate to die for their duty and protecting others even if the end of the world was in front of you," declared God of Nature. "And seeing you here and how you passed your trials, I'm grateful to you." He spoke in an almost pleased tone. "Thankful for what?" asked Maximus. "For proving me right, that I did not make a mistake this time," responded Termesset in a tone similar to a proud parent. However, despite his praise, Maximus responded in a discontent tone. "I haven't earned that praise yet. I'm still lacking and not strong enough to face the demon god in the upcoming war. I heard that even the demon emperor who only became an 8th stage saint recently is already on par with a beginner 9th stage saint. Compared to beings like them, I'm not even worth being mentioned in the same sentence as them. And that is why I need your help," iterated Maximus in a firm tone. He was not the kind to shy away from his shortcomings right when they were in front of his eyes. Even as a hero, he was still not someone who could represent the Nader Empire and the billions of people living in it, and neither was he strong enough to protect everyone. Even his strength as a 5th stage saint was barely enough for him. "Good. I expected you to feel that way. And that is why you deserve my blessings to bridge that gap between yourself and the others," declared Termesset and moved his right palm. Shing! The palm shone brightly, and an ethereal multicolored aura suddenly encapsulated Maximus' entire body. Minutes passed, the aura was completely absorbed by Maximus. Crack! In 3 successions, the crackling noises resounded in this dimension. Shatter! Suddenly, as if breaking an invisible case of glass, Maximus's figure shattered the entire surroundings close to him as if the reality itself shattered. "Who? This? I feel it." He spoke and looked at his arms. "My body feels like I have become immune to suppression of my own limits," he said in an astonished tone. "Yes, you have broken your limits. You will at least become an 8th stage saint in your lifetime. But the journey beyond that, it will all depend on your resolution and hard work," iterated the God of Nature. "Before you go, I have a favor to ask you," said the god and gazed at Maximus. "If you meet the hero of darkness during this conclave of heroes, help him escape," commended the god. Stunned. "Why?" asked Maximus with a shocked countenance. Because even to him, everyone told him that the hero of darkness was an enemy who must not be spared. "Consider it paying off a debt," spoke the God of Nature with a tone full of wisdom. "From a time that has not come to existence yet." Maximus, after contemplating the mysterious words of Termesset, decided to give his word to help the hero of darkness if their paths were to cross. "Although I do not know why, I will heed your words. I too would like to meet this infamous hero of darkness one day," said Maximus. Termesset then urged Maximus to fulfill the other objective of his presence at the Conclave of Heroes. "Good. Now it is time for you to complete the other objective of coming to the Conclave of Heroes." Termesset then urged Maximus to fulfill the other objective of his presence at the Conclave of Heroes. "Also, tell the Empress of the Nader Empire that I expect her to give it all when the war with the demon god begins. Otherwise, there is no future for anyone and our arrangement will have no meaning since the world will be destroyed," spoke Termesset, the God of Nature, with a stern voice. Blink! Behind Maximus, a glowing blue void crack in the shape of a door opened. "Time flows differently there. Just 10 minutes in there will be akin to 10 days in Babylon," informed the God of Nature, and Maximus nodded in response with an understanding gaze. Maximus entered a door that appeared in the middle of the pedestal. Meanwhile, boom! Shockwaves after shockwaves spread within a particular section of the Tablet of Arcana. Explosions resonated within the vast expanse of the conjunction of space. This particular location held special significance for Khan, as it was where he achieved his 3rd enlightenment in space law, obtained his Void Sentinel legendary rank class, and assumed his cosmic ether form for the first time. Choosing this expansive realm for his breakthrough had strategic importance. The conjunction of space spanned thousands of kilometers, ensuring that the explosive consequences of his transformation wouldn't affect or destroy anything due to its isolated nature. The continuous bursts of energy echoed through the spatial convergence as he successfully absorbed Marcus Brutus, the seventh hero of nature's core. Phew! The sudden surge of world energy within my body was surely hard to control. Thankfully my body didn't get blown up this time, said Khan with a comforted countenance. Crack! But suddenly, crackling noises resounded, and in the very next moment, boom! Khan's breakthrough resembled a nuclear explosion, his body emanating a red and black aura like an erupting volcano. Within a mere 10 seconds, a radius of over 30 kilometers from Khan's location was enveloped in visible world energy, spreading like a dense mass of water akin to a cosmic tsunami. Fortunately, the surrounding area was a vast expanse of cosmic ether sea, sparing any potential destruction. Otherwise, the aftermath of Khan's breakthrough could have obliterated everything within its span. The transformation left a lasting impact on his physicality. Bone density improved, skeletal structure attained heightened endurance, and his world energy reserves surged to 5 times their previous limit. Multiple abilities, skills, and bloodlines underwent a profound strengthening and evolution, signifying a new level of power for Khan. Congratulations to the host for becoming a 6th-stage saint. Notified the system. Khan could feel that his core was lighting on its own and the purple glow could be seen outside his chest. So it became purple just like a 6th-stage saint's core. I guess I will see the real effects of my breakthrough after I leave Babylon. He spoke to himself. Blip! A figure of a man in white and golden armor, having a grisly white beard and a crown on his head appeared. Well, I'm only reaping the rewards of my own choices. This was Rathnar in his real appearance since he could manifest his soul inside the Tablet of Arcana. What a lucky brat. Vildred would have not believed that you received a core from a former chosen hero and even broke through the rank of a 6th-stage saint in a place where your life was at risk in the first place. Spoke Rathnar in a solemn tone. Well, I'm only reaping the rewards of my own choices. If I had directly killed him instead of showing him memories of Rome, his core would have most likely self-destructed. It was my kindness and magnanimity that rewarded me. Spoke Khan in self-praise but without a shred of shame. Don't forget that it's my secret technique that made you 2 times stronger than the other heroes in the first place. You should also give credit where it's due. Berated the former peak saint. Yeah, I should definitely give you for constantly nagging in my head, old bastard, replied Khan as he rolled his eyes. Step. After an hour of solidifying his body through meditation, Khan exited the tablet and returned to the peninsula. Now, it's time for my main objective. He spoke and directed his cosmic replica to keep acting like him as he disappeared into thin air, because it was time for Khan to decide his next move, and that was to locate the realm tier. After 3 hours of searching, Khan finally found the place told to him by Zalvik, the assassin comrade of the necromancer hero. Out in the endless expanse of white sand, like an oasis in the desert, Khan found a lake with pitch-black water. Even the light from the moon did not illuminate or leave any reflection on the surface. Jump! Without hesitation, Khan jumped into the lake, and using the aquatic skills he had from Thulu, it only took him a moment to locate the realm tier. Blop! Khan jumped out of the water from an entirely different end and now saw a void crack in the middle of a dilapidated room with nothing but rocks and remains of crumbled bones and armor. Looks like some other hero's party mistakenly entered through this realm tier and could not go back. The bones and the condition of their legendary rank armors is so bad. It must have been at least 2,000 years. Spoke Khan and stared at the void crack in front of him. And this water must have not let them escape since it's purely made of darkness and isn't like normal water. Poor souls, he said in an empathetic tone. That was the matter with realm tiers that Romulus informed Khan about before coming to the Conclave of Heroes. That realm tiers were a one-way ticket, and if you wanted to go back or enter a new region, you must use another realm tier for it. It was done so that other heroes and their parties could not hunt the other gods' heroes by traveling through them to different peninsulas. Because to exit or go back to their own peninsula, they would have to look for the realm tier leading specifically to their designated spot. It was far more risky than just a strategic advantage to ambush another hero, because there was no guarantee that you would ever be able to return alive since trials always changed for all heroes and so did the location of realm tiers. "All right, here goes nothing," spoke Khan and stepped inside the void crack. Swoom. Khan, having undergone a powerful breakthrough, embarked on a journey through the gateway leading to the peninsula created by the god of darkness. Ding! Ding! The host has entered the peninsula created by the god of darkness, beginning the divine essence absorption. Alerted the system. As he entered, the system promptly notified him that his body had commenced the absorption of the divine essence left by the god of darkness. The host must stay still in a meditative position for 2 days to fully absorb and integrate the divine essence in his divine ki. Informed the system. Remaining on the peninsula for the full duration of 2 days, Khan immersed himself in the assimilation process. His objective was to only ensure his survival and not face the trials meant for him because his divine ki was not even awakened. Khan could not even enter the god's altar of God of Darkness without it. So he did not even dare to venture what was in this peninsula other than the black wastelands before his eyes. 2 days later, eventually, the system relayed the message that the divine essence had been fully absorbed and integrated into his core, ensuring that Khan was no longer in danger. Finally, now all I need to do is covertly find the realm tier leading to the peninsula of God of Nature, and we are all done with this conclave of heroes," said Khan as he took a deep breath of relief. Crack! But right then, the realm tier behind Khan saw a sudden change. Step. One after another, a total of 12 unfamiliar entities belonging to unknown species, adorning intricate and legendary rank attires, armors as well as weapons came in sight. The emergence of these unknown entities was so sudden that Khan had no chance to act and hide himself since the change was instantaneous. And finally, among them appeared a particular individual who was a human just like Khan. And the first words he spoke after looking at Khan in his Atrus persona were, "Found you, Khan Salvatore." Khan was thunderstruck at this revelation and asked in a cautious voice, "You know who I am?" "I do," said the man in golden and blue battlemage attire who seemed to be in his late 20s. His grim and sinister voice echoed in the surroundings as he declared, "You're not the only one cursed with knowledge." Right when Khan had finally completed his main goal of absorbing the divine essence and his divine ki was now stable, ensuring his survival, a total of 12 entities appeared from the very realm tear that brought Khan into this peninsula created by the god of darkness. And one person in particular looked at Khan in his Atrus persona, and without a moment's hesitation, he declared, "Found you, Khan Salvatore. Warning. Host is being targeted by killing intent exuded by multiple semi-saints." Informed the system, Khan looked around multiple of these semi-saints who showed hostility towards him for no reason. One of them was a figure clad in white armor, adorned with black horns and vulture-like wings, gripping a menacing white spear. His face remained shrouded, adding an aura of mystery to his presence. The hostility emanating from this semi-saint was palpable, and Khan keenly observed the details of his appearance, preparing for any potential threat. The second individual possessed a humanoid figure, entirely enveloped in a vibrant shade of blue. Dark blue mage robes adorned his form, complemented by black pauldrons and a wizard-like hat. In his hand, he wielded a glowing black scepter. The most striking feature, however, was the ever-volatile blue flames that danced around his body, adding an otherworldly and formidable aspect to his presence. The third figure stood as a colossal presence, reaching a towering height of 4 meters. His muscular and ripped physique emanated strength, emphasizing the 2 massive trunk-like horns that adorned his head. Gray skin covered his formidable form, and his feline-like face, coupled with folded gauntlets, added to the intimidating aura surrounding him. The fourth figure presented an imposing and massive appearance, standing at an impressive height of 5 meters. This beastkin possessed a strikingly blue body, a rarity even in the Beast Empire, with a lion-like face and two bison-like horns accentuating the majestic and domineering look. Unlike the others, this figure lacked any visible weapon or armor, relying solely on its imposing presence. The fifth member, a female, exhibited a unique appearance with fish-scale patterns covering her body. Her face remained concealed beneath a helmet, and the distinctive color of her blue palms, glowing sky-blue antlers and attire, comprising a pristine white and blue dress, created an ethereal ensemble. In her hand, she wielded a staff with a radiant blue hue. The sixth individual possessed a quadrupedal form, presenting a beast-like face adorned with horns. His stone-like purple skin, accompanied by a fiery red mane and a long reptilian tail, contributed to a menacing appearance reminiscent of a forest monster rather than a semi-saint. The seventh member was a blue monster with black horns, resembling a demonkin. His eyes, devoid of irises, glowed yellow. His exposed upper body was adorned with white runic tattoos, and he wielded a silver and brown spear in his right hand. The eighth being was a humanoid female with a distinctive appearance. She lacked legs, instead having spikes resembling those of a spider. Multiple yellow eyes adorned her thighs, forehead, horns, and shoulders. Her bare naked body had a white and red exoskeletal texture, and she possessed claws and wings, giving her an otherworldly and alien-like appearance reminiscent of creatures from Hollywood movies. The ninth member appeared as an amalgamation of aquatic species. It was challenging for Khan to discern whether this individual, wielding a sword, resembled a snake, shark, eel, or some form of humanoid sea lizard man. The 10th member, in stark contrast, didn't even feel like a living being. Their entire 7-meter-tall body was composed of rocks, with the center of the stomach being nothing but a massive hole that allowed visibility through. The most distinctive feature was undoubtedly the arched and rusty halo-like bones protruding from its back, while the face and the entire skull were engulfed in flames, giving the impression of a creature from hell. The 11th person was even more terrifying, with a body consisting entirely of a skull and bones covered in a black and gooey liquid. This substance flowed across their body like a separate but living symbiotic entity, and constantly glowing blue veins emitted crackling lightning, running across the entirety of their skeletal form. As for the final member, a human just like Khan, he wore regal yellow garbs befitting the battlemage class. Despite belonging to a different species than the rest of the group, he revealed a stern and determined countenance after identifying Khan. Ah hell. Now who the hell are these people? They seem to be already looking for me, spoke Khan in annoyance. Good to see you here again, Khan Salvatore. Or should I call you by your title, Hero of Darkness? Spoke the blonde and golden-eyed battlemage. What? He already knows my name and my real identity. How is that possible? I'm still in my Fenrirborn form, and other than Vildred, Romulus, and my subordinates, nobody in the past 2 empires I've been to even knows the name Khan Salvatore. And they're surely not from the Vulcan Empire either, and Rocco's empire has nothing to do with Conclave of Heroes. So how do these people know me? Wondered Khan, and self-actualized many things, trying to remember where he left any possible clue. The mysterious group of semi-saints continued to approach Khan, their expressions revealing a mix of hostility and determination. Khan, still in his Fenrirborn form, couldn't comprehend how these individuals knew his true identity. His encounters in the past 2 empires were limited to Vildred, Romulus, and his subordinates, and he had not interacted with anyone from the Vulcan or Rocco's empires in the context of the Conclave of Heroes. But despite his thought process of a 6th-stage saint, Khan failed to find any possible trace that could lead to this unknown group of people knowing about his true identity. Hey, get into your real form. This Fenrirborn appearance is stinging my eyes, said the yellow-armored battlemage. Swoosh! Boom! Khan quickly went on alert mode and summoned Lucifer in the right hand, and in the other hand he summoned Gungnir. At the same time, he was still wearing his Beowulf gauntlets. Soon, his entire appearance started changing as Khan turned into his true human form while adorning his dark gray long coat. You're either a stalker or some long-distant relative my parents never told me about, and I have an eidetic memory which reminded me that I don't have a single relative in this world. Spoke Khan as he pointed his sword at the group. Everyone here was a semi-saint, but all of them wore legendary rank gear and had weapons of the same rank. And in the current situation, it was a 12 versus 1 face-off. Oh, you have gathered some different gear this time. But if I remember properly, you didn't prefer using weapons, said the blonde-haired battle mage. You used to say that a man's body is his biggest, strongest, and most reliable weapon. Khan on the other end was confused and made a skeptical face. When the hell did I say that? Are you sure you're not mistaking me for someone else? He asked. Kid, this is not good. Even with many of your skills and abilities, turning the tide of battle in your favor won't be easy since many of your skills can't be used due to the restrictions of being unable to use world energy. Now, it's only a matter of pure combat skills rather than saint rank abilities. Informed Rathnar. I know, but I do have a way to even the odds in case they decide to fight me, replied Khan while maintaining his calm demeanor. Who are you? And how do you know my name as well as the fact that I'm the hero of darkness? Asked Khan in a vigilant tone, ready to react if any of them decided to act and try to attack him. The next moment, one of the 12 semi-saints decided to speak politely. Well, we haven't officially met yet, so let us allow to introduce ourselves properly. Then, from the left side, these new guests decided to introduce themselves. I'm Jargon Alteos, spoke the white-armored spearman with black wings on his back. I'm called Sulek Langster, spoke the blue-skinned person who seemed to be a summoner by class. Neiman Stragver, spoke the 4-meter-tall bare-chested brawler-class warrior. Hank Primos, spoke the blue beast man who was the only member without a visible weapon on his person. Ariel Eckhart, spoke the woman with white and blue attire who seemed to be a priestess by class. Judas Sphinx, spoke the monster-like 4-legged semi-saint with a long reptilian tail. Akalen Cedric, said the blue-skinned and white-tattooed spearman. Echidna Skullborn, said the woman with white and red exoskeleton armor and yellow eyes spread over her body. Nano Willick, spoke the person with aquatic species lineage who resembled a shark. Targos Boltan, spoke the golem-like individual whose entire body was made of stone and his skull was on fire. Null Symbiter, spoke the person with a symbiote like black tendrils running across his body. And this is our Lord. And finally, it was Null who introduced the identity of the blonde-haired battle mage with golden eyes. Anakin Redfield, the hero of time. Khan stood dumbfounded as soon as the group of semi-saints revealed their identities, as well as the human among them being none other than the hero of time. Damn! Out of all the heroes I could have faced, I met the one whose abilities I had no idea about. Even my elemental affinities and resistance to many skills and attacks are mainly viable to the 8 elemental heroes. I wouldn't mind if he was the hero of light or hero of lightning. But someone who deals with the time-related skills and possibly has divine abilities related to it, this is a dangerous foe even for me, thought Khan as his first instinct. Why? Are you that surprised now that you know my real identity? I was expecting more of an ignorant and dismissive response from you since I've always been an overbearingly haughty and indifferent narcissist who acts like he is better than everybody else, said the hero of time with a smug countenance. Even through his words, it felt as if he found Khan incorrigible and held deep enmity with him for some reason. All right, don't let him act first, ordered the hero, and soon, every single member of his party, including him, started taking out crystal-shaped artifacts, each having a different color than others. Shing! Soon, the crystals shimmered and a beam of light with their respective color was launched into the sky. Soon, dozens of archaic magic formations appeared in the sky and spread over 20 kilometers of distance, creating a dome-like golden barrier. Crumble. Shatter. In the following moments, all the crystals shattered on their own, and their auras were absorbed by the cores of these semi-saints. Warning. The host is under an ancient rank suppression spell and all of the host's physical and magical stats are being affected. Strength has been reduced by 65%. Agility has been reduced by 54%. Dexterity has been reduced by 49%. Defense has been reduced by 37%. Mana has been reduced by 43%. Notified the system. The entire activation time for this suppression barrier was only 5 seconds, as if they came prepared from the very beginning. Even as a semi-saint, Khan was already 2 to 3 times stronger than others even before Romulus and Vildred trained him. So now, with all of his stats being reduced by almost half in most of the aspects, he was like a normal semi-saint. But things didn't stop there. All of the host's elemental defense to skills and spells has been reduced by 35%. Informed the system again. Whoosh! Slash! Without a hitch, Khan instantly used Quicksilver and attacked one of them. Bang! But right then, an impenetrable barrier appeared like a protective shield in front of all of them. Even Lucifer had failed to pierce through it despite being covered with Space Force. Oh, looks like he learned new tricks. Well, since I'm also different from the original timeline, there's a possibility that the butterfly effect affected the time in the reverse direction from the point of my return, causing it to alter his past a bit as well and make him learn different skills and powers than the original him. Thought Anakin Redfield, the hero of time. Well, I need to get rid of the source of his power first. He thought to himself, and this time he summoned a big horn. A brassy and rustic voice echoed from the horn and shockwaves resonated inside the 20-kilometer radius in mere seconds. That's the war horn of confinement. It's an ancient rank artifact of the Empire of Time, warned Rathnar in Khan's head. Kid, hurry before I... But before the Peak Saint could continue, his voice suddenly stopped. Clank! Without even Khan being able to react, dozens of Folden chains appeared over Khan's body, but they disappeared just as quickly. Khan hadn't even absorbed this instant yet seemingly precarious situation, but then he heard sirens in his head. Warning! Soul connection to the Peak Saint, Rathnar Whitlock, has been severed temporarily. Warning! The host has lost connection to the Peak Saint's core. Warning! The access to space law has been sealed. Dimensional shift is no longer effective. Warning! Dimensional domain and dimensional cut can no longer be used. Warning! World energy in this region has been completely expelled. Any skills that are passively active because of the world energy cannot be used. Warning! Energy plunder skill cannot be used. Warning! Phase shift skill can no longer be used. Warning! Effects of all the bloodlines as well as skills and powers granted by them have been reduced by 70%. Warning! Due to the lack of mana and world energy, the Primordial Titan bloodline and the skills granted by it cannot be used. Warning! Void Realm skill cannot be used because the flow of time and space within the 20-kilometer range is disrupted. Warning! Lucid reality cannot be used due to host's diminished mana and physical stats. Warning! The effects attack powers of all the weapons and armor and their skills have been reduced by 80%. Warning! Link with summoned entities through the King of the Dead skill is temporarily disabled. The host can no longer summon his monster army or the fighter class warriors. Warning! The overall physical attributes of the host have been reduced by an additional 37%. The host is now comparable only to a beginner grandmaster. Informed the system. Stunned. Khan was too stunned to even react because even his body felt like it was out of his control. Who the hell is that bastard? It's as if he has seen through me. He even sealed the space, my access to Rathnar and his core as well as my weapons, my dimensional law divine ability, my abilities to summon subordinates, and even my bloodlines. It's as if he knows everything about my skills and how I fight. Thought Khan quickly as he was thoroughly suppressed by the new arrivals in a mere 10 seconds just by activating a few magic formation artifacts. Wait, that's it. He must have the clairvoyance and Sage's Eyes divine ability. Wondered Khan because he found no answer to this current predicament. Maybe that's why he knew my name, my identity as Hero of Darkness, and also my abilities that I would use in such type of battle when I'm outnumbered. Even if he doesn't have the latter, the first one alone is more than enough to have me trapped like a rat in a cage. He concluded. This was the only possible explanation as to why the Hero of Time knew almost everything about how Khan operated and his holster of skills, weapons, and bloodlines. Give up now. Maybe I will be magnanimous enough to grant you a swift death. Something that you don't deserve after what you did to me," spoke Anakin with cold and vengeful eyes. However, ha ha ha, ha ha ha, this is good. It's been a long time since I was on the verge of death and I was thoroughly cornered. I missed the thrill and excitement of it, spoke Khan, his expression turning sinister and sadistic as his eyes focused on the hero of time. There are 12 of you and 1 of me. This is so unfair. For you, declared Khan menacingly. The hell is he talking about? Hasn't he realized that we can crush him like an ant now? Asked the blue beastkin. However, Khan did not give them a moment to converse and replied truthfully. You idiots. I have been holding back till now because I had to hide my identity, thus making me use only a limited amount of skills and elemental powers. I was also restricted to acting and fighting like a brawler-class warrior for almost a year now, iterated Khan. But now, since there is no one else other than us, I do not need to hold back, spoke Khan in a domineering tone. Whoosh! In succession, black shadows emerged from his body and soon, they transformed into Khan as he created his doppelgangers. Since he was unable to use world energy, his doppelgangers count had reduced to 6 as he was stuck at semi-saint rank. But since he wasn't restricted to using cosmic ether since it was a different entity than the world energy, mixed with the dimensional essence, he could still create 5 cosmic replicas. But since he left one of them in the peninsula left by the god of nature, he could create only 4 of them now. Including Khan himself, he had a total of 11 versions of him against the 12. 11 people against 12. The numbers were close now. Don't be so certain of getting out of here alive just because you created mere copies of yourself. With your strength reduced to a beginner grandmaster, you have only brought yourself a few extra minutes, declared Anakin in golden and blue robes with a haughty expression. I don't know what your beef is with me, but don't blabber nonsense. Boom! Khan quickly activated war dominance and his black and red aura spread in the nearby 2 kilometers as all the doppelgangers followed the same suit. I may be outnumbered, but you're outmatched, declared Khan in a tyrannical voice. Flutter. Looks like you guys haven't realized it yet. I'm not some random side quest NPC you can gang up on and kill easily. Soul-shivering gusts of winds spread in this desolate battlefield as everyone's clothes fluttered from Khan's aura of darkness as he declared in a kingly voice, I'm the final boss. Now that the battlefield was set and Khan was reduced to a mere beginner grandmaster rank warrior while the 12 assailants were bona fide semi-saints, the tension in the air was palpable. Not only the strength but also in terms of numbers Khan was lacking. Thankfully, he could still use his doppelgangers and the cosmic replicas to even the odds. Even so, there were still plenty of skills in his vast catalog that could be used even at this rank and without the need to spend too much mana or use world energy. You all handle him just like we practiced. I need to be in isolation to maintain the warhorn of confinement, spoke Anakin confidently. He has few new skills this time, but I already trained my people for all the possible scenarios based on my memories of him. I have already broken off his connection to Rathnar Whitlock and Peak St. Cor. No matter how much he improvises, he is bound to exhaust whatever mana and skill he has, only to end up being brought to knees in the end. And once he is at my mercy, I will make him feel the pain and humiliation he inflicted on me, thought Anakin. Blip. In a moment, his golden armored visage quickly disappeared into this air, as if he was never real in the first place. What the hell? Where did that bastard go? He definitely didn't turn invisible or entered the true dimension, spoke Khan. Now, the match had turned into 11 versus 11 opponents where 11 Khan now faced 11 semi-saint opponents of unknown species. Alright then, bozos. Let's get the party started, said Khan, and all versions of him sprung into action. One of the first people that a doppelganger who shared the mental link with Khan attacked the white-armored and black-winged wing spearman called Jargon Alteos. Flap. Jargon quickly took flight and created a distance between him and Khan's doppelganger. This was a tactical advantage in a battle against a singular opponent and a wise strategy indeed. However, Flap. Khan quickly used the Caladrius wings and 4 2-meter wide and majestic black wings came out of his back, spreading like the wings of an eagle, as he did not waste a moment to let the opponent create extra distance. Then, just like Oliver, he took out an epic rank bow, one of the many he had stored since his time in Rocco's empire. Shoot! Khan used the Wind Arrow Maelstrom skill, the skill which allowed him to create over 100 arrows of compressed wind element that could shatter walls in a single hit. Swoosh! In the air, began a dance between a prey and the predator. If one saw it, they would feel like a sparrow was being hunted by an eagle. Flap! Jargon on the other side started using his light elemental skills and launched a counterattack of massive 10-meter-long spears that collided against the volley of arrows. Boom! Bang! The sky shook from the shockwaves as the two flying birds launched their long-range attacks in succession. But right when Jargon thought he had the upper hand since Khan was most likely to expend his mana soon, dang! Khan suddenly switched all his wind elemental arrows into the darkness element one's midair, ending in Jargon's spears destroyed and his skill getting destroyed. Swoosh! And just as the backlash started to hit Jargon, Khan used the special ability called Jetstream and temporarily increases his speed by 300% in an instant. Whoosh! Before Jargon could even react, Khan appeared just 2 meters away and caught him off guard. Shoot! The spearman tried to fly away, but Khan used grappling extension skill, the one he often used back in his days as Azrael. Stab! The spiky tendrils pierced Jargon's armor and his wings. However, this was not enough to harm or overpower an opponent donning a legendary rank gear. Flash! Without even offering a chance to retaliate, Khan's eyes flashed yellow as he used the Executioner's Gaze skill to quickly freeze the enemy, and he pulled him closer. Shoot! Jargon hadn't even absorbed the fact that his body was completely stuck, and Khan used a darkness arrow and shot it at close range, aimed right at his neck in between the gap of the armor and the helmet. Boom! It had been only 3 minutes since their battle began, and Khan blows Argon's head off and quickly, and then used the spike-like grappling extensions to pull his core out. On another side, there was a dark blue-skinned fire elemental mage who was using Hellfire to attack Khan. Boom! Multiple firebombs had decimated the 20-meter radius during their face-off, and from many sides, he was relentlessly attacking Khan without even giving him a moment to breathe. Swoosh! Using Quicksilver, Khan instantly appeared in front of the summoner named Sulek Langster. Smirk! And you fell for the most obvious trap, spoke Sulek with a victorious smirk. Boom! A vortex of blue hellfire arose and Khan's figure disappeared within. My frozen hellfire can even melt mithril in mere seconds. Just this cheap copy is nothing, declared Sulek with a content and proud expression. Flutter. But right then a black figure emerged from the fire. You sure about that? A grim and terrifying voice resounded. Step. Khan stepped out from the vortex of blue hellfire, completely unscathed. Impossible. You're just a mere knockoff, spoke Sulek, shivering and trembling. Oh no, I'm the original, declared Khan. What Sulek didn't know that suddenly, the real Khan switched places with the one he faced, since the doppelganger was not immune to the fire of this degree. But the original Khan had the complete immunity to all kinds of fire in the world since he killed the hero of fire. And the overconfidence caused Sulek to drop his guard. Stab! Khan's eyes turned yellow again, and he used Executioner's Gaze as well and stabbed Lucifer through Sulek's chest. Squirm! Khan's forearm turned into the Drake Claw. Crush! Without wasting another moment, he grabbed ABD, crushed Sulek's head, and took out the core. Sulek belonged to a species who had their cores in their head instead of heart. Yet it made no difference to Khan as he crushed the head using the mighty Drake Claw, the skill he got from the Magma Drake, the final boss of the Bromner dungeon. On the other side, the third enemy was the 4-meter-tall feline-faced and gray-skinned earth elemental brawler warrior named Neiman Stragver. Bang! 2 fists clashed and sent tremors in the ground as Neiman, wearing a golden gauntlet, and Khan, wearing Beowulf, faced each other. Thanks to the Invamark skin skill that could absorb all forms of kinetic energy, Khan successfully absorbed the shock instead of being thrown away. He's Earth Elemental Warrior with great strength and defense. I need to change the strategy, thought Khan. Swoosh! The Beowulf gauntlets disappeared and Khan switched to Gungnir, whose tip was crackling with lightning. Flicker. Khan's eyes turned violet as he used the subterfuge skills, the one which affected the perception of direction of the enemy. This was the skill he once used to land the final blow against Solomon Elfenheim during his time in Flavit City. Lunge. He used the impaling thrust skill, and in just 2 seconds, he stabbed the opponent over with 5 lethal thrusts that completely broke of his stone-skinned body. This was Gungor's most lethal close combat skill. Other than the head, the entire body had 5 large holes, and one could see what was beyond the body through them. Spurt. Blood spurted over like a fountain from Neiman's body, and in the next moment, slash. Khan slashed his neck open. Before the body even dropped, he used the Drake Claw and took the core out. The fourth battle was with a blue beastman called Hank Primos, who had turned into a massive ox-like monster and had lightning running across all over his body. And the skin of this semi-saint was so thick that not a single one of Khan's attacks had even blade a small cut. Thud. Khan created the darkness barrier to protect himself and completely hid himself behind the barrier. Whoosh. Like a ferocious stampeding bull, Hank charged at the barrier and clashed like a wrecking ball. Shatter. The barrier shattered, but the very next moment, Hank found himself falling inside a large 10-meter wide and 8-meter deep pit. Thud. What an idiot. As semi-saints, we already can't fly. Yet he blindly charged just to break the barrier without even thinking what could be behind it, said Khan with a disappointed gaze. It would be a hassle to kill you using conventional methods since your skin is impenetrable to the current me. However, it doesn't mean I need to kill you directly, he said, and next he took out something from his space ring. Boom! Khan threw bombs at fallen Hank. Soon, the bombs exploded and spread a greenish-golden liquid that filled the entire pit. Sizzle. Arg. This is the pure and unadulterated venom acid of Jormungandr, a legendary rank monster who can melt mountains with its venom. No matter how resilient your skin and your abilities are, there is no escape from it unless you have legendary rank poison and venom immunity like me. And even if it failed to melt your skin, flesh and bones, the neurotoxic venom will kill you eventually, revealed Khan with an insidious smile. So start counting your last breaths and curse the moment you decided to join this assault on me, he declared. In mere 10 seconds, right before Khan, Hank helplessly tried to get out as his flesh sizzled and bones crumbled and melted like leather in lava. Khan used the grappling extensions to pull out the core from his corpse just like he did with others. This makes the 4 of them. His other copies were still fighting with other semi-saints. Now 8 more to go, spoke Khan with a calm demeanor, completely unfazed. This was current Khan's level in terms of battle experience and skill mastery. He used the simplest of his skills that were not even at their peak strength and effectiveness. And yet, Khan killed 4 semi-saints despite being a grandmaster. After Khan was done killing the first 4 opponents, the doppelgangers passed the weapons like Beowulf, Gungnir, and Lucifer to other copies. And now, his attention shifted to the remaining of the bunch. The 5th enemy exhibited a unique appearance with fish scale patterns covering her body. Her face remained concealed beneath a helmet, and the distinctive color of her blue palms, glowing sky blue antlers and attire, comprising a pristine white and blue dress, created an ethereal ensemble. In her hand, she wielded a staff with a radiant blue hue. She was a priestess by class named Ariel Eckhart. Rumble. Temple. The sky rumbled and the ground trembled as erratic winds and roaring clouds suddenly appeared and surrounded them in the battlefield. Khan had activated the skill named Stormbringer. A skill like the name could create storms in a short time, one of Oliver's most powerful skills when he wanted to create a battlefield to gain the environmental advantage. Even in its reduced effectiveness of only 20% of the original capacity, it was enough to surround a 100-meter radius, and soon, dozens of lightning bolts crackled along with the dark clouds that obstructed anyone from interfering. Snap! Khan snapped his fingers and used a buff skill called Elemental Domain. This was a buff skill that temporarily enhanced all the elemental damage by 200% in a 200-meter radius. Khan received this from Solomon long ago, but the effective range never evolved like his other skills, and also the fact that his elemental affinity was already at 100%, making his normal attack 2 to 3 times far more powerful compared to others. But after leaving the Rocco's empire, Khan had no reason to use it after becoming a saint, since this ability didn't stack with an additional buff effect either. But now that he was only a grandmaster, Khan was using this buff to increase his total damage against this priestess who was overconfident to engage alone with him. She was a water elemental priestess and activated several of her piercing holy attacks, with a mixture of water spears. Shoot! Multiple water and light elemental projectiles launched at Khan, and he quickly started dodging them haphazardly. Is she dumb? Why is she using both holy magic and her water elemental skill at the same time? Does she think it will have some sort of effect on me because I'm the hero of darkness? She is just wasting her mana by twice. Plus, who the hell said I was going to use darkness element against her? Thought Khan, and the next moment he sprung forth to attack. Crack! Next, over 100 vines arose from the ground as Khan used flora and fauna skill to command the plant life and used the roots beneath the ground to attack Ariel from multiple directions. Snap! They bound her from the sky while Khan defended against the holy spells using a metal wall he summoned. Rumble! The thunderous noises echoed, and from the sky, boom! Dropped a 2-meter-wide lightning bolt that zapped the Ariel instantly. Kia! Wailed the pristine-looking priestess. If Khan wasn't restricted to beginner grandmaster rank and was a semi-saint, this one bolt would have killed Ariel in a single strike. Is she really a semi-saint? She was focused so much on attacking me that she did not even cast a protection barrier on herself and forgot to mine the battlefield to the point she did not even notice that I was creating a massive lightning bolt as my decisive attack. He wondered. Khan walked towards the groveling and fidgeting Ariel's charred figure. I would have loved to turn you into my summon, but currently I can't use the King of the Dead skill. Such a shame. Armin would have loved a companion of the same skill set. Spoke Khan with a disappointed countenance, and next, stab. Khan stabbed Ariel's chest by using Lucifer's tip to rip apart and pull her core out of her heart. Next, his opponent was the monster-like four-legged semi-saint with a long reptilian tail called Judas Sphinx. Khan switched to daggers and used smoke bombs to disrupt the sight of the enemy. Roar! The enemy roared, and the sonic booms from it cleared the smoke instantaneously. But Khan was nowhere to be seen. Where did he go? Thought Judas. Right then, a figure arose from beneath his shadow. The smoke was just a distraction because using it, Khan performed Shadow Walk for the first time ever since he became a saint. And this time, when he obstructed the enemy's sight with a smoke bomb, he used Shadow Walk to enter into his shadow. Khan used the dagged and made an X cut, instantly chopping off Judas' tail. Why did he attack the tail first? Because for many quadrupedal animals, a massive tail based on their anatomy dictates their posture and body movement. If you cut a crocodile's entire tail, it can neither walk or swim properly for a long time because the loss of such a huge organ will affect the nervous system and overall brain activity. Khan had no intentions to waste time on testing this semi-saint, and he quickly jumped high in the air, above its head, and switched those daggers with Lucifer. Thump! Crackle! Highly compressed darkness aura assisted with crackling lightning merged together as Khan used his long-forgotten powerful strike after so many years. The last time he used it was when he killed the hero of fire 2 years ago. Dimensional Cut had completely replaced this skill as Khan's most powerful attack, but now that Khan no longer had access to Space Law, the once reliable skill had been used again. Getsuga 10. Dark Lightning Strike! Exclaimed Khan. The dark lightning blade passed through Judas' head. Bang! Khan made the superhero landing. Thud! Judas' petrified head dropped on the ground. He slashed apart his lion-like body and pulled the core out of his stomach. With a calm and collected demeanor, Khan spoke solemnly. That's for betraying my boy Jesus. His next opponent was Akalen Cedric, the blue-skinned and white-tattooed spearman. He was using runes on enhance his body, embedded in the form of tattoos. Who the hell are you trying to fool? You want to be Blue Monkey from Avatar? Said Khan's doppelganger. without even offering a chance to use his skills to attack Khan. The hero of darkness summoned a halo of multiple elements over his body and an epic rank scepter for mages. Sidvakariku Opman Laquaros Sanik En Tvua, chanted Khan in a grim tone. 5 different pentagrams made of archaic formations appeared behind Khan. First formation created a barrier that isolated both of them from the rest. Second created a shield in front of Khan to protect himself. Third spread fire on the battlefield like a blazing inferno. Fourth created a debuff on the opponent that slowed his movement by 30%. And fifth one stopped at creating multiple fire vortexes that surrounded the enemy from 4 sides. Elemental Domain, thought Khan, and activated the skill again. Khan raised his elemental damage by 200% as he fought with a pure fire mage build. What the hell is this? Since when were you a mage? Spoke Cherdich with a baffled expression. This isn't what Lord Anakin told us, he said in a terrified voice. Such misinformation. Much sad, replied Khan, and attacked from all sides. Boom! Battle spread for over 200 meters and Khan relentlessly attacked with fire spells. The ground charred and started melting, and in the meanwhile, the spearman was left with nothing but confusion because his sight was blocked, and no matter how much he attacked Khan by using his senses, the spear could not break the shield. What a dumbass! Wasting his energy on skills he knows can't overpower me. Khan then used Armin's wood elemental skills to tie him down just like he did with Ariel. Khan walked towards Cedric and gathered all his mana and turned a massive fireball made from all the fire vortex. He pointed his forefinger and thumb, taking the shape of a pretend gun at the enemy's head, while the small bullet-sized fireball was vibrating. No, please don't, begged Cedric as he made a mortified plea. Bang! Khan made a headshot at close range and killed the opponent easily. Sizzle. The neck sizzled as all there was left was a headless corpse. Khan also took out the core and smiled for the easy victory. On the other side, another battle ensued between a semi-saint and one of Khan's cosmic replicas. Echidna Skullborn, the semi-saint with white and red exoskeleton armor, and yellow eyes spread over her body, targeted Khan. She was spewing tendrils and launching bullet-like attacks, and in the meanwhile, she was using telekinesis to lift the stones, boulders, and dried trees from the dead battlefield to attack Khan. Oh ho, she must be a psychic. First time I'm fighting one who is a semi-saint, spoke Khan to himself. Bad for you, girl. If you're like an extraterrestrial alien, then I'm like a predator, declared Khan with an expectant gaze. Because now was the time to watch a movie named Alien vs. Predator. The movie began with the alien and the predator exchanging lethal pleasantries. However, Khan used the basilisk skin and turned his body impenetrable. He deflected all the attacks by twisting Gungnir vertically so fast that it started looking like a circular shield as Khan slowly walked forward toward her. You bastard! Exclaimed Echidna with horror as he was using skills far more effectively than her previous assumption. Rumble! Shoot! Echidna used the boulders and stones to attack Khan, but instead, they all suddenly stopped. I may not be able to the primordial Titan bloodline, but I can still use the gravity law skills, spoke Khan with an unfazed countenance. These were the skills Khan received from Skoll and Hattie in the forbidden region of Verlassen when he went there to get the Tablet of Arcana. Currently, only Omega used them frequently, but now that Khan was facing a legit psychic, gravity law skills were his most reliable assets. Gravity down force, commanded Khan. All the projectiles dropped as Khan's skills overpowered Echidna. These are Saint rank skills from 2 mythical monsters with Godbeast Fenrir's bloodline. Even at their weakest form, they are still stronger than a semi-saint's psychic powers, said Khan calmly. The movie began, and soon, the clash started as Echidna started a full-on barrage of bony projectiles laced with yellow venom. He then pointed Gungnir at Echidna, who was floating in the sky now using her powers. You will never reach me, said Echidna, acting haughty. Khan smirked and replied, Who said I need to reach you? Shinra Tensei, exclaimed Khan. Suddenly, Echidna felt like she lost all the control over her body, and in mere moments, she was pulled towards Khan as if a black hole was sucking her in. In a single second, Khan pulled her close to him entirely. And the direction Echidna headed was Gungar's tip. Stab. Despite being a psychic herself, Echidna did not even get enough time to react before she was pulled close to Khan and was impaled by walking into Gungnir's tip. And just like that, Khan killed another 4 semi-saints in a single chapter. After finishing more than 8 semi-saints, Khan ganged up on the remaining 3 using his free doppelgangers and cosmic replicas. The result? Khan killed Nano Willock the hybrid with aquatic species lineage who resembled a shark. Then he killed Targos Boltan, the golem-like individual whose entire body was made of stone and his skull was on fire. All he did was use permafrost and Fenrir's wrath to freeze him like an icicle. As for Null Simbator, the warrior with a symbiote-like black tendrils running across his body, Khan simply used Leakin Tyrant's roar that acted like a high-frequency sonic attack, and then he used the Hell's Inferno skill to burn him alive. The last 3 semi-saints took an even shorter amount of time than the first 8. And finally, after gathering all the 11 cores of these semi-saints, Khan spoke with a confident smile. Draken El Tuskervea. Boom! Shatter. Soon, the 20-kilometer-wide isolation barrier shattered that had trapped Khan in a corner up until this point. Crumble. Like crumbling pieces of glass, the dome-like barrier disappeared into nothingness. Right then, the system notified, the host is no longer under the suppression of the ancient rank magic formation. The host is now back to being a semi-saint along with all the previous debuffs on the body and stats removed. Reported the system. Good. It was worth the wait. Thought Khan. Blurg! Suddenly, the hero of time appeared after he too suffered the backlash. How did you know? He asked in a petrified tone. One would mistake it for an ancient elven spell, but in reality, this ancient rank magic formation that you cast on me was the dragon magic. Spoke Khan with a confident smile. Impossible. You shouldn't be that knowledgeable in ancient magic and spells, much alone in the dragon magic. Spoke Anakin with an incredulous voice. The cores of your party members imbued and used as binding force for that spell using the ancient dragon runic magic. I figured them out after experiencing the suppression on my body. My mentor taught me the dragon magic some time ago, and the spell you used was one of the 2 ancient rank magic formation spells he made me learn. That's how I knew it, replied Khan casually. A mentor? Which one? Is that damned Fenrirborn or that vampire? Asked Anakin with a befuddled voice. Or was it Rathnar Whitlock? No, magic was not his expertise, he said. Enough chit-chat, shouted Khan. Let me ask you something. If you can see the future and you knew my identity, why didn't you tell it to the world or the empire that summoned you? I also know of the group that is made for hunting me. You could have had me killed just by uttering my name to them, since you obviously knew of their existence in the future because of your divine ability. So why? Stated Khan and inquired. You boor. You truly have no idea, do you? Scoffed Anakin and spoke in a disappointed tone. I guess the you at this point still have no idea about the deal between the gods and empires. He spoke and armed himself with the trident-like scepter. What deal do you mean? Asked Khan curiously as he pointed Lucifer at Anakin. Have you not suspected it till this point? There are 13 gods and there are 13 empires who serve them in the name of religion, culture, and whatnot. But what reason do these empires have to always worship a god? He made a question. Khan himself was curious about this reason for years but never had the time to focus on it. There are many empires that have formed, got destroyed, and disappeared in the annals of time. Yet the ones who emerge from the fall of those empires, or even the new ones formed after their demise, made up of species and races who fundamentally have different mindsets, traditions, and ways of life, always end up together to worship a single god or goddess. Did it never garner your curiosity? Asked the hero of time with a smirk. It's because the gods offer something that none of the new rulers of these existing, newly appearing, and those empires formed via hostile takeover can refuse. Something so alluring and incomprehensible that these emperors and empresses can't help but covet. Stated Anakin in a scholarly tone. What is it, O enlightened one? Asked Khan sarcastically. A guaranteed way to become a peak saint. And the direct source is placed inside the god's domain. Spoke the hero of time. What? Exclaimed Khan in disbelief. The hero with an awakened divine key will break their limits and become a powerful saint, at least an 8th stage saint. But the reigning rulers will get the right to enter and cultivate in the sacred grounds inside the god's altar for an entire year after the conclave of heroes ends. In those sacred grounds, once the empires gain access to it through their hero who earned the right to enter the god's altar, they will have a confirmed way to become a peak saint after they have become a peak 9th stage saint. Revealed Anakin. Shock. Khan was stupefied after learning this truth. So that's why there have always been empires worshipping gods, summoning the heroes and nurturing them. Also that the reigning rulers could become a peak saint. Concluded Khan. But isn't that too risky? Because I heard there are only 4 sovereigns in this era. He iterated in a stern voice. Yes, the land is just the cultivation site. Although extremely important to become a guaranteed peak saint, the said emperors and empresses need to become a peak 9th stage saint first. And for that, there is a task given to every summoned hero and heroine. A task besides entering the god's altar for the limit break. Something that will provide a real boost in power and rise in rank as a saint, and it is given by the Apples of Eden. Declared Anakin. There are only 2 Apples of Eden in the sacred grounds of each god or goddess. One is for the summoned hero or heroine since they can break past their limits immediately by 2 ranks after eating the apple. And the other is for the emperor or the empress of the empires backing them. A way to become a peak 9th stage saint and then having a perfect and assured way to become a peak saint. Aren't they worth sacrificing billions of lives for in this world where strength and authority mean everything? Asked Anakin in a patronizing tone. You asked me why I didn't tell anyone else about you, right? Stated Anakin and answered Khan's main question. Because you possess 2 divine keys after killing that trash Axel. Thus, you have access to both the sacred grounds of Vulcan and the now-destroyed Abyss Empire. This means you have access to 4 Apples of Eden and 2 apples that rightfully belong to you, providing you a sure-shot opportunity to become a peak saint. Revealed Anakin. For other empires, counting their own heroes/heroines, that's 6 apples and 3 confirmed ascensions. That's why all the empires agreed to hunt you down using the excuse of what the 8th hero of darkness did 300 years ago. He iterated in a majestic tone. If anything, your predecessor was a martyr who tried to do the necessary thing to kill the demon god while all these empires and heroes were fighting among themselves for power and authority. There is no such thing as blind loyalty or devotion to gods just because an empire serves them. And to the gods themselves, this is just a small entertaining game from the past 3,000 years. Said Anakin and raised his aura. Is that so? Then why haven't there been any peak saints in the past 2,000 years? Asked Khan. Because the conclave of heroes happens only after all the summoned heroes are from the new generation or the old generation of heroes have died completely. There have been times when 90% of the heroes were from the new generation, but the conclave of heroes didn't happen because at least one from the previous generation was still alive. In the past 3,000 years, the conclave of heroes has happened only 4 times. This is the 4th one. Explained Anakin Redfield. Wait, I was told that the conclave must happen within 10 years after everyone has been summoned. And those who didn't attend it would die. Queried Khan again. True. But it doesn't mean the gods and empires didn't have the means to bypass that rule. In such cases, they just shared the divine essence with the heroes to keep them alive. And thanks to your predecessor who killed all the others before his own death, an entire new generation was summoned for this conclave of heroes to happen. Spoke Anakin as he entered his own battle mode. Good. Thanks for the long information. But mind telling me how did you know to find me? And how did you know my identity? It can't just because of the clairvoyance divine ability, right? Asked Khan with a smile as he summoned the Dracos armor. Because you and I, Con Salvatore, we are destined to be enemies. Spoke Anakin with an insidious expression. He then summoned a lotus-like artifact that seemed to be filled with stars and galaxies. Shing! Soon, the lotus burst with an intangible force that spread in 40-kilometer radius in a single second. This is my divine weapon, the finality of time. And with this, you and I are no longer bound to the laws of God's domain. Both of us can fight as saints again," spoke Anakin confidently. "Big mistake," said Khan. "The host has returned to his peak strength as a beginner 6th stage saint. The host can now use all of his skills, weapons, armor, bloodlines, and divine abilities at full capacity." Informed the system. "Good. Now I need to destroy that warhorn of confinement, and then I will get Rathnar and his core back," thought Khan. "Consider this as your character development. Your final one," declared Anakin. "If I have to go through any more character development, my character will develop into a villain," replied Khan with a smirk. Now, he too was prepared to take out Amaterasu and fight a divine weapon with a divine weapon. Shing. But right then, everything around Khan froze as if every fabric of reality stopped functioning, including the true dimension. "Do you think I'll let you move now, Salvatore?" A grim voice echoed in Khan's ear. Stab. Ka's body now had a gaping hole in his chest, and his heart was in Anakin's hand. "How?" spoke Khan with a terrified expression as his body dropped on the ground. Because the heart also had his core, and now, Khan was literally moments away from certain death. "Not how, but when?" said Anakin with a sinister smile. He did not even get to activate any of his skills, the space law, and take out Amaterasu. "This is my domain of chronokinesis. It alters the flow of time and space and also messes up a target's perception of reality. The truth is, I killed you the moment I exposed my divine weapon, finality of time," spoke the hero of time. "You see, I came prepared after what happened last time." He spoke in a commanding tone. "Last time, hero of light was the one who found you first. When we fought last time, you were too powerful for me to handle and I died. But now, I'm killing you before you attain that ridiculous strength again," spoke Anakin. "The hell are you talking about, you bastard?" spoke Khan as the light in his eyes started dimming. Every second now could be his last moment in this new life. Boom! Rumble! Crackle! An insurmountable black and blue aura erupted from Khan's body. Something unexpected happened that shocked even the hero of time. Suddenly, this unknown aura spread in the nearby 5 kilometers radius, and a red archaic rune shone on Khan's entire back. Whoosh! Khan's fallen figure suddenly disappeared, and so did his heart that Anakin was holding. "I'm taking this back," spoke a new figure who emerged in the sky, and the heart was absorbed into his chest. "Ha ha ha ha! This encounter turned out more interesting than I thought." A grim and stoic voice and mature yet maniacal laugh echoed in the surroundings as a domineering aura spread like wildfire in the 40-kilometer radius. "Did you miss me, Gideon?" spoke a figure filled with black tattoos. The hero of time was stupefied again. No one knows my real name. Not in this timeline," spoke Anakin, trembling with horror. "This is impossible. You can't be here," bellowed the hero of time with utter disbelief. A tall man with waist-length black hair, the right side of his upper body, including the entire right arm, exposed while he was donning the slim black robes of a monk-like warrior. He wore a necklace made of small black beads and a belt made of dragon hide on his waist. His arms were covered in ancient draconic runes that no one had seen before. Swirl. Out of nowhere, a black dragon with no arms or wings appeared and started revolving around him like a specter. The blue fire made up of cosmic ether ran around this dragon's long figure, but the warrior was not affected by them in the slightest. Apart from the clothes, this person had a striking resemblance in terms of body build and facial structure for some reason. The hero of time stood petrified and couldn't muster the strength to move his body due to the sheer terror he felt. "You're the martial emperor," spoke Anakin as he trembled. The person in front of him wasn't Khan. Rather, it was Khan, from the future.